too.
Good, but
There we go.
there you go.
It may not let me record because I don't have I'm not sure where that request went. But we can always work on that next week.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I just wanted to have it on my side so that I could okay. You're recording, but it doesn't look like I'm just not sure where it would allow me to record on my end so that I can have more so that I could download it and rip it and edit it, and that's what I just wanted to be able to edit clips because I can't because I haven't been able to figure out that's why I haven't been doing anything with our social medias because I don't have access to the raw. So I can't edit.
I'm wondering
edit.
if I can download all one button and send it to you. I'm just trying to figure out how to move a file that large.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah, and if somebody in the comment section knows, shoot us a link. Figure,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the only other way that I can think of doing it is we'd have to put it into like a zip drive, and then I could send it to you condensed, and you can open it up on the other end, and it's raw. But I'm not sure how to. Well, all I can do, bud, is download it tomorrow and see if I can send a copy through like Messenger or something.
Yeah.
See if something the
Yeah,
raw
I'm not
copy
sure how.
to you.
Cool.
Yeah, that's why I was gonna. That's why, but it said I had to ask. I had to. Oh, cool. I got this. There we go. Yeah, it said you request host to start cloud recording. So I don't know. I'll take a look at it when we get done here tonight and see if it recorded. And
Yeah.
I don't know if I sent Jeff the invite, so I don't know if he's
Okay.
coming on or not.
Okay.
Got some good topics that you threw out there, Brad. Plenty of good stuff. But we can start having at it, man. I like that list of potential ideas we're strumming over.
Those came off of at work. We have access to MSN. Those came off MSN.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, that's some interesting stuff, man. Whatever's clever. There's some good. What kind of jumped out to you guys, Brad, so far, man, that you've seen recently?
As far as records go?
Yeah.
Just whatever. Yeah, just kind of from that stuff from earlier today, where we kind of just like collaborated when you made that list up. That looked pretty good, man.
Yeah, there are some cases, guys, where I'll go through, I'll see something that I think, hey, we can talk about or debate on. I mean, either way.
Yeah, sure, man.
Put it together. Yeah, I mean, like I said, these are NFL records because, again, with the Ovechkin breaking Gretzky's record the other day. I mean, there are some interesting. I didn't know there were some interesting records, like the Washington Redskins scoring the most points in a Super Bowl quarter. Did not know that.
35.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
When they beat the Denver Broncos.
Well, I want to say before we get started, or now that we've gotten started, I want to say wish Alex all the best with everything he's got going on in his personal life. And if you need anything, reach out and we'll do our best to help you as much as we can. If nothing else, someone to talk to.
Yeah, and you guys have been so cool, man. It was great. It's like sometimes we all, maybe some awesome family members, maybe one or two or more that, you know, maybe we don't see eye to eye. So point being, like, through the years, the older I've gotten, at least, you recognize some people you meet along the way become family pretty quickly. So it's like people you've been kind of almost needing, or there's no shame in the game, right? It's pulling through tougher times. So, you know, sometimes you gotta walk through it. You can't run from it, or, you know, run through it. So you guys have been good, and things are kind of like on the up and up, right? You know, it's part of life, but, you know, you know where I'm going with it. But, you know, one of the family members is getting a little up there, and we're just trying to do the best we can. So, but it was really cool. You guys have been really, you know, it's heartfelt, and I know I can rely on you guys. So I think just, you know, I've been impressed, man. Like, everyone individually and collectively, we're just kind of like, we have a good positive tone, and we got a lot of cool things to talk about. Our chemistry, our creativity is really good. So, you know, it's like, it was a great time for me personally, just to be a part of the show and have something cool to believe in and to get behind. So I appreciate that too. But thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I figure it's your story to tell, and you can tell as much or as little as you want. But
we'll get
you know,
get around to it maybe as it goes along. You never know how to be like next week. You know, nothing's for granted, minute by minute sometimes. But it's like, you know, it'll be it's a good. I think it's a you know, everyone's gonna go through things, and like, all the people involved kind of respect the process, if you know what I mean. I've never really talked about it. Like, there's no script you can read, right? Whatever. So it's like, should I say that or not? But so it's a little bit controlled. I could say more, but yeah. So at a later time, but it's just it was cool. Like, just knowing Brad was there, and it became tougher and tougher to be able to maybe find the time to see him. But just knowing he was around was really neat. And just having something cool, you know, along with, you know, some other, just, you know, just a more positive outlook overall, just a cleaner mindset, and just like kind of some newfound hope. You know, despite that struggle, it kind of made me stronger as a person. I'm sure you guys have each gone through something tough in your family lives. And, you know, I never really have until this. And then, like, right as soon as it happened, it was like I had a common presence, so I knew it would be good. So, you know, it's just, you know, kind of test a person's character. So I'm happy to share on that, and, you know, we all get through it, and we're all stronger together. So thanks for the support too.
absolutely, more than happy to help as best as I can.
For sure.
You know,
awesome. Thanks, man.
With what he was going through, you know, it reminds me, you know, tie it back to sports. You know, this is a sports show after all. But
Yes.
Darryl Waltrip wrote a book. The race car driver wrote a book probably about 15, 20 years ago now, called A Lifetime Going Around in Circles, and kind of ties into where they were last week. They were at Darlington, and in the mid-70s, you know, he's a young driver. It was early 70s or mid-70s. I'm not exactly sure the timeline. Somewhere in like 73 is the number that sticks out in my mind. But he was talking. First time he ever been to Darlington. You know, his biggest strength. He grew up in Tennessee and driving local short tracks. You know, quarter miles, eighth miles, and, you know, in like 1950s. You know, 100cc engine, little beater cars.
Mhm.
And he gets to Darlington, biggest track. It's 1.33 miles, big track, biggest track he's ever been to. And he gets in the garage area, and he's like 18, 19 years old. He goes down and he finds Cale Yarbrough. Cale's a veteran. He's been around for a decade, you know. And he asks Cale, you know, can you go down into one wide open? Cale said, sure you can. So Darryl, you know, he gets straight, get the car off the hauler, get it prepped, and send him out for his first practice run. And he screams down into one, about killed himself. He got it woed up, and he came back in, and he made us some laps. I can't remember if he made laps or if he just parked it. He went and found Cale, and he was like, what the hell, man? You said I could go down to that corner wide open. And Cale looked at him, and, you know, just that good old boy, that good old Southern boy smirk. He said, you can. Never said I was. And, you know, that's always stuck with me, and it was slow down to go faster. You know, you try to rush, and that was
Dude, that was a cool story. And then as it got sort of near the end, I was like, my eyes lit up. Like, that's a great message in that. Like, you told me that before last week. I had never really gone through something that on that level. It's, you know, it's one of my parents, so it doesn't get any higher than that. And more important, right? It's the end of the day. That's what really why we're here. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, when I got there, I just was breathing through it, and there was a lot of emotions leading up to it, uncertainty the past year or two with the parents collectively in Florida. So I was more emotional. I was sleeping a lot less. I was getting more riled up. I wasn't living as healthy as I could have.
Good.
And as you guys know, even if you're going through stuff on the side, even like Adam said beautifully, like even a Nick Sirianni, or there's countless players that we cover. You know, you take a step back and just kind of, if you have the right heart, sometimes you get carried away and maybe just running too fast. Maybe there's just too many different things that are like troubling you, just pressing your heart, and then you just, so it spills over. So it was great to just literally be able to just this time just walk through it, and just knowing that I had a good support team, you know, as a backbone was really, really valuable for me. So it was a good, like, positive learning lesson, and it's still ongoing, but you know, you guys helped me keep a positive mindset. So, and that applies to anywhere in life, and I think it really makes us stronger to go through stuff like that, just kind of learn from it. So there's always a silver lining, I think.
You know, and you know that the whole weekend is trying, you know, just reminding him to slow down, and then you know, and that's a big thing. That's a big thing for me, and you know, in sports and in life in general, is slow down. You know, you try to rush things, you try to hurry things up. You know, is that cliche? You know, you can't win it on one play. You know, you can certainly throw it away on one play, but you can't win it on one play. You know, just keep digging and just keep battling, and you know, and
overcoming adversity. Yeah, it's all that's such a that's like the central theme, right, Ab? Like really, with the guys we all cover, and the teams and players we all enjoy. Yeah, you nailed it right there. It's so fun to see like the underdogs or people overcoming stuff where it's not just handed to them, and it's life's never going to be easy, and every season is not going to be undefeated. There's going to be ups and downs in life and on the playing field.
Correct.
absolutely, and when you have, you
A
know,
strong team.
when you have a strong team and a strong support network, you know, leaning on your support network, whether it be in sports or in life in general, it makes you a better person, you know, and you know, like the Florida Gators, to keep it, you know, sports related, you know, they were down 11 points. I kicked the game on with 12 minutes to go in the second half, and they were down 11. It was 46-34, 46-35, Gator all the way. And I was just like, man. And then they just never gave up. And they just kept coming and coming and coming. And and every time it felt like Houston was going to put them away. There were a couple of times where Houston hit some big shots, and it really felt like, okay, that's a dagger. And the Gators just kept chomping away.
Don't give up, man. Yeah, when a lot of teams, and maybe friends, unfortunately, maybe want some of us. I used to kind of fold and maybe just do stupid things or act out when I know I shouldn't have, you know, because of things. It's like you said, they stuck with it and just they trusted that eventually things would work out. They slowed down. They didn't panic. If they were down 10, they didn't start yelling at each other and just suddenly become down 20. They knew that if they kept calm, just like I was walking, not scrambling and being careless and reckless all weekend, just calm down. The Gators trusted that it would be okay, and they were there right at the end, Adam. That's a great analogy. But I mean, that was a heck of a win, man. What was the stat, guys? That they only led in what, the last minute, right? Minute and a half.
Yeah.
That's
crazy.
Point for about a minute 35.
Wow. Yeah, they just kept it cool. They knew they were facing a quite a test, but they were like, okay, if we panic, we're done. So we simply have to slow down and just be optimistic and just kind of trust that as a team we'll get through it. So yeah, you guys have been my team through this. It's made any storm, you know, it just there's more silver linings than I ever thought there could be. I've learned a lot, you know, just like work ethic, appreciating each day, you know, looking at athletes different. So and just reinforcing the idea of we're stronger together, regardless of where we're from or yada yada yada. You're stronger. I'm a stronger man the more good people I have, and this is a hell of a team. So, boom. Like I would say, truly this time it's enough out of me.
Well, I think what happened for Florida is their shots started to go home. They stayed with it. They never got out of their offense. They didn't start jacking up bad threes. They worked
No.
they worked the ball inside, and if you watched the game, I don't know if either. I know you were busy, Alex, but I don't know if Brad was watching or Lou was watching. But what I saw was good team defense, solid team defense, and what
Yes.
Alex has been harping on for the last whenever we talk NBA, and just they played really. Both teams played great defense, in my opinion. I thought both teams were
Yes, they
really
did.
solid defensively.
Even though
And
that
Yeah.
one of them lost the game, but still.
I think both teams played spirited, passionate basketball. I don't think really
I'm
either.
sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, but at the end of it, a lot of people, of course, are writing on Cooper Flag, because he was the start for the best thing since sliced bread, and at the end, see, the problem is that you can get so cocky, when you think of a big lead and you think you're in the driver's seat, even with 5 minutes to go. Look, 10 minutes down by 10 with 5 minutes to go is not a big lead.
No,
No, it really isn't. And there's overconfidence. Is what it's decided to slow down the game.
Yeah.
And that's what caused him.
yeah. I mean, Lou's right there. I mean, like, if you're confident that you can get stops, if you believe in your team defense, if you don't have a couple of guys that are going to be lazy or that aren't listening during timeouts, like, if you believe that everyone's locked in, it's almost like in any sport, really, it's a matter of pride. I'm number 8's not scoring on me, and then you look over at your teammate. Number 22 is not scoring down low. The center's convinced, so everyone's personally accountable. They're not going to let their individual man beat score a bucket. So it's almost like a challenge amongst the defenders. You saw that. Everyone Florida had a front. They literally just were not allowing anything easy. That's similar to kind of what UConn did a couple years ago, where they'd be down like 10 or 9 or 14 or like 7 with like 8 minutes left, and then they just stop denying shots because then they have reliable shooting, so they knew they kind of just make up that discrepancy by the end. So Florida, like you said, Adam, everyone had good points. Like Florida, we got to hear from the Florida guy last, of course, but like I think I would love to, but like I think just Florida, like they just kept their cool. They were confident. They didn't panic. They knew they were gonna have a shot. They had to just buckle down on D and then just and then Clayton wasn't even shooting. He was the guy leading the D. It really was like a great team win. I thought for sure, just the ability to come back there.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to watch the game. And when I went to bed, they were down 12 when I went to bed. They were down by 12, I think 10 or 12 points when I went to bed.
I should say I watched the replay too, so I was late to it. So I watched the replay. So you were kind of like snoozing a bit.
All 3 games were good.
And then
they really were.
I wake up in the morning and I have a text message from my aunt that says "Go Gators," and I'm like, "No, they didn't. No, they did." Wow. And I check, you check all the apps, and I'm like, "Oh my god!" I watched the final. Yeah. I mean, that kid for Houston is from Tampa. He's a Tampa kid. He's from Tampa.
Wow.
Unfortunately, he, once you put the ball on the floor, you can't touch it because you touch it to travel. So once you touch it, so he couldn't touch the ball, and
no, it be
reacted at all, which was weird. Like the ball's bouncing on the floor. Not one Cougar is within the area to help him out, and of course there's a Gator there to dive on it, and then they run the clock out. But I mean, we were talking, guys, about comebacks. I went Tuesday night to my first Threshers game as a medium member. We were down 7-0 going into the 8th inning.
Oh wow!
Scored runs in the 8th and had the game-tying grand slam home run with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th, only to have 3 straight hits and walk it off 8-7. Walk it off.
Wow!
Quite a debut game though, Brad. You started with some explosives, some fireworks. It's a heck of a start, man. Nice.
I was talking to Ralph earlier. Ralph's going through a rough time too, my partner. But I was talking to him earlier. I said I had never got to experience minor league baseball before prior to the 2 games I've gone to, and I'll tell you what, it's exciting baseball. I know they're not pros.
Sure.
I know it's not going to be as pure. You're not going to have, big time hitters where, they come up to the plate, they're going to hit a home run. They're going to hit they're these, they're kids. They're 19, 20 years old. They're kids. And it's cool to watch them. I mean, the stadium that I go to only seats like 8,000 people, and they sell out maybe once or twice a year, if that. Actually, if you see me turning my head, I'm actually watching the game live right now. They're down 3-2 in the top of the ninth, I believe.
Wow.
It's the top of the ninth inning that they're down by a run, but they're at home, and there's nobody behind the plate. Like there's one guy about 3 rows up. The stadium is empty on a Thursday night. But it's exciting. So yeah, I'm going Saturday. It'll be my next game is on Saturday night.
Hey, also, also, Brad, man, even this, don't pay too much mind. It's already a really cool venue with it, to check these guys out. Keep in mind too, it's like kind of brand new, and we know like sometimes Florida with traffic, if they start hot, and then it seems like they're bringing in an exciting brand for everyone to check out, that attendance might really get going. So, it could be different in a little bit. It's great to get in there right now.
Well, they've only, up till this point, they've only lost 1 game.
Nice.
They've only
Pretty
lost.
good so far.
They started the season Dunedin, which is the Blue Jays A affiliate, and tonight they're playing the Daytona Tartugans, who are the Reds A affiliate.
Okay.
They're in a 10-team league, is what the league is. The Florida State is only 10 teams. They're all local: Fort Myers, Tampa, Clearwater, Dunedin. They're all close by. Fort Myers, I think, is the furthest south.
What is the league again?
It's the Florida State League. Yeah, the Tampa Tarpons, the Yankees A affiliate, is in this league. We play them later this year because they had to move out of Steiner Field because of the Rays, because that was where they played. The Tarpons played it at Steiner Field, and now they moved out because the Rays are there.
That's where, when I was with my dad one summer, we went out to see Reds Rays, and we ran into Dickie V out there. But yeah, we checked that. Steinbrenner Field was awesome, and I wish I could have had more time, maybe later, maybe next year, whenever. But like, that seems like it's going to be a fun venue. It's not like a half-ass, halfway job. It seems like it's kind of rocking so far, and they're playing pretty good ball. So I'm happy there. But dude, I mean, Florida baseball in the spring and summer, it's going to be fun. You're going to see some young kids, man. It's going to be that's got to be some good energy on the field. Some people really hustling and working hard.
Well, and think of this, they're getting paid, but they're not getting paid millions of dollars like they are in the majors. And they they run after plays. I mean, it's a lot like college baseball too. They're trying to get to the next level. So these guys are the same thing. They're trying to get to the majors. So you're going to, obviously, some of these kids will never get out of A-ball at all. None of them will. Yeah. But then some of them will go through the rankings and get up to the major leagues. Our catcher is this is, I think, his second year with the A squad, but they've already started to talk about him possibly moving up to Double-A. So again, that's another rumor. We're moving up to the next level. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So
you could be potentially interviewing. You could be talking or potentially interviewing someone who might be suiting up as like a Tiger or a Ray. I mean, if they're potentially moving up, you're looking at potential MLB players of tomorrow in a couple of years, 3 or 4 years down the line.
What I'm gonna do, guys, is I have to go through the media guy, the Threshers. I'm allowed to ask for review, so I'm gonna try to get these guys on here. So I'm gonna work, and that way we can interview these guys and ask them, hey, when did you know that baseball was going to be your career?
Oh,
did
you
start
with
Little League? Was it something that you did with your dad or your grandpa or with your great grandpa or whatever? What was it that got you into the game of baseball? And we can ask them. I mean, like I said, I have to go through the media guy to do that. I don't know how, but I'm going to try. I'm going to give it a try.
Guys, I got a little bit, what I'd love to do? I'm going to look at, because I do that Dynasty Fantasy Baseball. So a big thing, at least once a week for an hour, I'm sitting there literally just sifted through like single A, double A rosters because I hear different names. So what I'm saying is I'm like reading different like scouting reports that are ridiculous that most fans wouldn't, just because I'm trying to beat people on the waiver wire because it's a deep dynasty team. So I'll be able to see a couple names. Like I'll look a lot deeper into like there might be 2 or 3 guys on that team that are like have a big reputation. Obviously, hey, if we can talk to one of them, but like any player, but yeah, you might have guys that are like you said, getting talked about. If they're working hard, unless they get injured, a couple of those guys you're seeing every night are going to be, potentially playing in the MLB stadium down the line. So, I mean, that's an awesome spot, man, to see talent.
And it's fun too. Like it's like my first game, the night that I was there on Tuesday night. Every Tuesday night, they do $1 hot dogs, $1 soda, $1 beer. So you get a lot of people that go to those games because, I mean, the guy that I went to the game with, unfortunately, hates technology. This guy's 81 years old. He's been writing about baseball for 41 years. This guy has got numerous stories. The only thing is I can't get on here because he hates technology. He hates computers, social media. If I would love to have it, but sitting with him and just talking baseball with him was awesome. Awesome. And then he left, and that's when all the excitement happened. He goes, it's 7:50. I gotta be in bed. I gotta go to bed. So he left the stadium early, and that's after he left. That's when all the excitement happened.
That's the old school reporter or journalist stuff, like covering Tebbets Field or Yankee Stadium or Madison Square, anywhere in America, where you'd literally, what's a laptop? You'd literally have this is your stuff, not even a recorder. You literally have to write down word for word what the manager says about the play in the 7th inning. Then you got to run back and get it on deadline and print by like, an hour and a half after the game. So I don't even know how the heck they used to do that stuff. Those guys were, those old school reporters, man, they didn't have all this technology. So
no,
a guy like that knows so much. He literally was like quietly studying years and years. There wasn't a buzz with 1,000 things in his ears. He was studying that sport. If you
guys want to read his stuff, go to the website is called Latino Sports, like how that sounds, Latino Sports.
Nice. Yeah.
The guy's name is Joe. I forget what his last name is. I think he's the only Joe on the website. But if you go in there, he actually wrote an article, and I have to read it. He wrote an article last year about the staff that works at Tropicana Field that helps us writers, starting with the guy that works in the press box to the cafeteria crew that are, help us make sure we have everything we need. When I got a chance to go to the games last year, and we had to pay for food, and that's okay. But it was good because I would get off the elevator, the press elevator, and say, oh, let's look on, always look at the board. Okay, that sounds good. I would go up and get all my notes together, maybe write my first paragraph of my article. Then I would go eat before the game. And then I would, right before the national anthem and all the hoopla before the first pitch, I would then go back to my seat and sit down. But I would get up during time and go get a hot dog or ice cream or some kind of dessert, because once you paid, you're good for the night. So you can go back anytime and get food if you wanted to do that. He wrote an article about that staff, how nice they are. I had an usher. I had a plate of brownies, guys, and I was walking back to my seat, and I got halfway up the steps and I dropped it. And the usher who was working the box, every time I saw him after that point, he made fun of me. He's like, "Be careful with those brownies this time. Be careful. Don't drop them." He would joke around with me every time that I see him.
Oh, that's fun.
And I mean, those are the type of memories that you have. Like, he's taking his time at it. He's doing his job, obviously, but it's funny how he be funny at the same time and go, and you're having a bad day, bam, that'll bring you right back into your mood and right back into the game, having fun at the game. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, let me ask you, if we're going to put you on the spot here, like, what? Yeah. So when you're at the Rays game, you're obviously up in the press box, And so you're away from the crowd. And then you talk about when you're at a Bulls game, that being South Florida, when you're at a South Florida game, like you're in with the crowd. When you were at the Threshers game, and you say, obviously the Rays experience is totally different than the Bulls experience, where, like the Rays are very professional, and then the Bulls are very, it's about, like you have two totally different approaches. And I'm going somewhere with this, I promise. But so compare and contrast that with the going to a Threshers game. Where were you seated at the Threshers game? Did they put you up in the press box, or did they make you stand out in left field and catch fly balls and just in case?
Very similar, but I like the question. Very similar to the USF game. When I got my media credential 2 weeks ago, the guy told us there's no press box, and the reason behind it is when you go up now they have notes for us, so I can go up. I'll go up on Saturday before the game,
Okay.
and get notes from the two previous games that I've missed during the week. But I can go up there and grab game notes and grab lineups. I mean, they give us a scorecard. I didn't really, because I was talking most of the game on Tuesday. I didn't keep a scorecard. I had gotten at the Rays games where I was starting to get pretty good at those, because at the beginning I was like, I didn't know what the heck I was doing, honest with you.
They're
I'm like,
crucial.
I don't know what. But at the end, I was able
balls
to.
And strikes, man. You're sitting there, balls and strikes, man. You got to be like a mouse watching that stuff.
Well,
You're the
and that's the thing.
statistician, man. But you're the master of that article. It better be accurate. You're the keys. You got the keys to your own house. You gotta make sure it's nice and tidy.
You got to pay attention when you're writing scorecard in, because if you miss something, you and then see at the Rays games, at least they would tell you that there would be a guy in the press box that would announce to you, hey, this was a hit, or this was a fielder's choice, or this was a,
what?
Yeah. And then, but again, with USF and the Threshers, we don't get that, because the box at the Threshers game, they have a box for the Philly scouts, for the team operation. So they've got this whole room where they have TVs on the wall that are replaying. They have their announcing crew up there.
Yeah.
And they also have the announcing crew of the other team, if they have one, that are up there as well. So they told us, go get a seat, go grab a seat, and you can sit anywhere you want. The only thing is you have to watch if anyone has a nameplate on the back of their seat, that's a season ticket holder, and you are not allowed to sit in those seats. Those are people that pay. And I was surprised at how many season ticket holders there really are for minor league baseball, because I'm assuming that a lot of these people don't want to pay big bucks to drive to St. Pete or drive to Tampa or wherever the Rays are now. They want to stay in Clearwater, pay $16 for a game for a ticket. Well, that's what a general admission ticket is. I don't know what the season tickets are, but general admission $16, and you go in the stadium on a Tuesday night, you can get 4 hot dogs and 4 sodas for $8. So you can go and have a good family for, and then I checked earlier today, the Tampa Tarpons, who are the Yankees affiliate, they're only charging $2.45 for a ticket to go watch them play baseball.
A lot of people prefer it. It's more laid back. It's even more kid friendly, simply because, especially even the past several years, whatever. Just more and more as even the decades passed. It's just you see the discrepancy. It's the MLB. It's $12 for a pretzel, or you go get a $1 beer if you so desire, or a soda for 500%, 500% markdown. Some of these prices, you can take your family there for like $20. If you go to the Rays or even like a Braves game, it's like $20 versus like 180 if you really think about it. So looks like the dad and the mom are like, what, let's take the kids to and then you're maybe it's not as tight like with security up front. It's like a little bit, you know what I mean? Did you sense that? Maybe a little more chill. It's just not as many people, so it's more intimate. You can be closer to the action too.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Sally,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
How many people?
It's a great venue. It's a great place. It's a great place to work. I think for sure.
Baycare Ballpark seats 8,000, and they only sell it out about twice a year, and usually around the 4th of holiday, because they do some Actually, this Saturday night, guys, they're doing a fireworks display after the game. So The lights
Already?
will
Wow.
fall, fireworks off. I'm going to stay for that on
Cool.
Saturday night. They said that the stadium that I'm at has berm seats. I don't know if you guys know what that is. Grass.
No.
It's grass seats where you can bring your
burn.
own chair.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that.
Lawn
There's a-
seating.
There's a
yeah.
1,000
Oh,
seat
yeah.
center field. And the cool thing about this ballpark is this is where the American Athletic Conference baseball championship tournament's held.
Neat.
So I'm going to turn that back around, and I will be covering USF in this stadium most
Neat.
likely this year. And I already know where I'm going to go. I know where I'm. By the time that it gets to that tournament, I'll know where I'm going.
Right.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, so
That's awesome.
but yeah,
dude.
to answer your question,
I gotta,
We-
you sparked my, Brad.
go ahead. I'll be honest with you
Oh,
guys.
no, I think I was going where you were already going. Go for it.
Yeah.
When it comes to baseball, I would rather be in the stands with the fans because it's just different. Being
Yeah.
down there, feeling the emotion that they go through, whether it's college baseball or minor league baseball. Yeah, I mean at Tropicana Field, it was in the press box. Now I would love to be on the field for football. I mean, that would be awesome.
Oh, no question about that.
A college football game would be great. Unfortunately,
man.
that's not the way. But yeah, I like where I'm at with the sitting in the stands now. The guy told us to be very careful how we cheer. You definitely don't want to like. First of all, I'm not one of those guys that's going to go up there and hate the opposing team because, like I said, these guys are kids. They're not.
Yeah.
They're not major leaguers, and even if you're a major leaguer, you shouldn't be taking torment either. But there are
No.
assholes out there
No,
everywhere
No journalists.
that.
Yeah, man.
But
As long
You
as they're
gotta,
not
you gotta
playing-
report an objective.
right, you got to be objective. You can't, I mean, was I cheering when we tied the game? Of course. Was I
Sure.
cheering when we won? Of course. But you got to be careful because again, you don't. And I hate to
Well-
bring this up. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. You go ahead and
As
finish your
long as you're
thought.
respectful, as long as you're just portraying what's going on the field. I'll send you guys an article. I covered the
Yeah.
Little League World Series when it was up in Bristol, Connecticut. And that's a level down, right? Still the World Series, Little League. So it was like on ESPN too, and it was for a smaller paper. Obviously, I wasn't on ESPN, but just covering that, the credentials were big because you had people from Virginia and North Carolina traveling to Connecticut. And for that, like you said, Brad, as long as the thing is, you can't go in there just wanting to build up one side. You got to just, maybe you talk to the player who went. I would talk to the kid who, went 2 for 5, but like struck out in the 8th, and the losing player who was like just kicking butt, the underdog, the loser. I'd love to talk to that guy. You're so close,
So would
Johnny. And get an honest quote. Not just the MVP of the winner. So oftentimes, man, I mean. That's the thing I wanted to share with you, Brad, when I was there, man, and Lou, like the trip to Florida, man. Brad mainly, because now you're writing, big time. I'm so proud of you. Years ago, and Lou too. I know you, from what I've heard, man, and Adam's going to be, I think, a star too. Like, yeah, years ago, just writing for those old high school papers back home. It's got me thinking that it really, just to keep going in this creative, really try to get back into working sports more and more.
Well,
it's just so much fun. So I'm like living vicariously, and then like quietly going, is there any way I could find that article from way back, that little paper? Just kind of like, the juices are flowing now. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, the website that our podcast is on, we had credentials to Wake Forest, the Demon Deacons
That's awesome.
in Carolina. Well, the guy that did it got in trouble for cheering in the press box, and they kicked him out, and they took the credentials away. So
They kicked him
Ralph
out for
was not-
cheering?
kicked him out for cheering because you're not
Wow.
allowed to cheer. That's
Oh.
Yeah,
not
it
you
depends
cannot.
on who. Yeah.
You can do it you can do it silently, because that's what I do when USF scores a touchdown. You can do it silently, but you can't get up and jump up and down and go nuts, because again, at the end of the day, as Adam pointed out
Right.
earlier, it's professionals. Like there are people in that box that's their job every day. They have to get up,
Yeah,
write goals, cover a team, travel with the team. So, and I realize that too and I hope one day I do get a chance to do this, but the Lightning writers, everybody
heck
wears a
yeah, man.
suit.
Heck yeah.
The Lightning guys wear, I've never had to wear a suit to but that,
You can do
if
it,
I
Brad.
cannot,
You look
the
good in
Lightning,
that.
that will be something different because again, everything is more professional because
Right.
it's professional sports, obviously. And I understand that it's, college and minor leagues is not professional, but if you act like a professional, you're more likely to get
Oh
credentials
God, yeah.
year
How did
Mhm.
compared
how
to
do you think those guys start, man? That you're not,
yeah.
Brad. That's an awesome. I don't mean to ramble, but like I'm really excited for you because I'm just reassuring you, like you're in a great spot. That's where you want to be. You're not gonna. Hey guys, you mind if I write for ESPN? They might be like, you got to build up a little bit of a resume, right? So
Right.
like, so you're in the what do they say? You're in the building and you're already kicking butt. So it's like, yeah, good things are gonna keep happening. Just stay reliable and build those skills and just network, man. And you know how to network. It's anything in life, man. Positivity now after my Florida trip, like you can do it. It's each of us can if we want to go into that writing endeavor. It's just every reporter. First of all, you don't, I was in a major, but it's not a lot of writers out there are like a journalism major where they're writing sports articles already in college. So a lot of the best writers, they might start them when they're 30. A heck of a lot of writers never. I was talking to Adam before. Heck of a lot of writers. If you just quickly named 5 of your favorite sports writers, even a Colin Cowherd, they might not even played middle school or high school ball at all. But they're like just revered for their takes on a specific sport. So it's all I'm saying is if you have a passion for sports, if you network, if you're a nice guy with a smile like you, Brad, that you're already on your way, you just get in the door and then you start there. Some of those guys working in that stadium are good friends with people who work at the Rays Stadium. People are going to find out and say, "Oh, how about that guy Bradley Walker? You see that article?" And the next, you're maybe interviewing for, you're in the door, you're in the building.
Yeah.
So it's like that's where you want to be, man. That's a great spot for you.
I'll be honest with you guys. I've never played football or baseball, so I didn't play any of the sports as a kid.
But a lot of writers didn't. A lot of podcasters and a lot of the ESPN, CBS guys didn't. They didn't. They just didn't. A lot of the writers didn't.
Yeah.
Football is
the majority. The majority of them did not. Yeah. So you just think of it this way, Brad. You're on equal footing. Why not you? Why not you? You don't have to be a three-time All-American in college to write about college football. Heck no. So it's like, dude, it's open season for you to just dominate, like as if just as good as someone who played college ball. Why not you? Just get in there. You're already there.
2 weeks from tonight, guys, we'll be watching the draft.
Yeah.
So I mean that's
awesome.
That show will just be us getting on. I mean, that show we kind of like.
Man.
There are really no rules on the show. I don't have rules. There's not something that everyone has to do. But that kind of night, we kind of just lay back. We'll be, you can ask Adam in the past. I've had hot dogs and wings and all kinds of stuff, and we just, he's out at the wall. Dang it. But it's just that night. It's just us reacting to the NFL draft. It's going to be
my favorite show.
We sit down.
Just a good example like that. Yeah, the draft will be awesome, Brad, because now like it's just kind of that next level almost of like we'll have that specific topic where we can really and dude, it's not like I need to. I like this. I love this guy Brian Baldinger who breaks down like Philadelphia offensive line plays because I played just a little bit of ball 3 years in high school. I was like just a guard. I was not a standout. Last was my sport, but I love football. But so I'll never be considered a legit football expert. I know that, and I won't even mention that.
Right.
I don't even want it to be mentioned if I were to ever. I'm trying to write articles. I'm going to hopefully one day write for the Eagles. What's the worst I can say? I'm gonna try. After my dad's visit, I'm gonna try doing whatever I have to do to chase this dream again. So I'm excited. But Baldy, those guys that really break down the tapes, those guys are like former linemen. But I was just gonna say, personally, my favorite writer used to be like Mike Lupica in New York. Lou, again, the guy. you might picture him like being in front row to math class, not an athlete. The guy's like maybe the smartest, most brilliant sports writer of all time. Maybe he played a little bit of ping pong, and the guy knows every athlete. He writes a book, and there's lines down the road to meet him. So I mean, there's no limits. You didn't have to play a sport to talk about it. And hey, man, if you're confident and you sound like it, act like a pro. And dude, you're in the pro building already. So that's good. I wanted to share that to all of you. It was tough to type it out when I was doing 19 different things over the weekend, but there shouldn't be a hesitation, man. You've already proven that you've arrived. So I mean, and everyone should build up their own confidence after this call too, man, because I can feel it. And Brad, now you're feeling it. Something I chased years ago, and I'm eager to chase again, thanks to a guy like you.
Well, I found that I am not the writer. I don't have the patience
for
to write.
Podcasting, man. Awesome podcaster. We can all do a number of things. Who knows? We could all do a number of things.
Video is this is my medium. I love being on camera. I love talking. I don't have to, when you're talking, you don't have to spell anything. So Brad can attest to my flame out as a writer. And I wrote a couple articles on NASCAR for the website a few years ago, and I just
they weren't bad. I mean, I don't write. I spell everything correctly. Software to correct all my
time. That comes in time, guys. It really does. As long as I suggest maybe just like it just comes in time. The more you're covering, the more you're writing, the less mistakes you're going to make. The more you're ice skating, the less times you're going to fall.
Yeah. My problem with writing is that I just don't have the patience for it to reread what I've written and see the mistakes that I've made and correct. So I would send Ralph the article. I'm thinking this is a great article, and I said everything I wanted to say, and I made great points. And then I reread the article. I'm like, I spelled that wrong. Wrong. That sentence is just grammatically incorrect. That was not a sentence. That is a hostage situation. These words were kidnapped and forced to be here.
It's a hostage. Okay.
So I never had the confidence to write. I'm a much better talker. Who gave me a speaking job? But so for me, trying to branch out and trying to get into writing, and it wasn't for me. I like doing this way better. I like listening. I think the biggest thing. Yeah. The biggest thing that I harp on when we're here, and Alex can attest to that, and I get on him all the time about it, but is listening to hear, not listening to talk. Right. It's a big thing that I think a lot of young podcasters have a problem with us, is they're so excited to say what's on their mind, is they forget to listen.
So
if they forget to listen. And I'm not calling Alex out personally. I just was just giving him a little crap there. That's all. Because I love Alex.
I'm sorry for being overly complimentary of Brad. I was just trying to when I get excited, this is, you know what I mean, Brad, Adam. It's a little bit different tonight because this we're all building each other up. But hey, no,
absolutely,
absolutely. I digress.
No, you're good. I wasn't taking any.
I've been, it's more just. It's not even advice. I was chasing that years ago. So now with where he lives in the country, being able to be in a minor league area, right now I'm living vicariously, and then I'm circling back on. I'm getting my old ducks in order because I want it on the party too. It's making me
whenever I first started
a kid in a candy store, man. It's like a kid in a candy store. It's like talk about a fun job. It's like a hobby being at a game. It's like going to a baseball game and you're writing and then you get confident. Then you're meeting the big players. You know them by their first name. They know you. It's like that's a dream.
Yeah,
that's what I was telling you.
And it happens to regular guys. It happens to regular guys all the time. You don't have to be a big time writer or a big time athlete. You just gotta have some skills and some passion.
Well, that's what I was telling you. Is you were talking about wanting to get back into writing. I was saying, reach out to Brad. Just talk to Ralph. They'll hook you up if you can write ahead. If your sentences don't look like somebody kidnapped the words and forced them onto the page at gunpoint. Ralph's really good.
I've written for. Well, yeah, I did. I've written for newspapers, so I'm ready to roll.
Reach out
Just
to Ralph.
the smaller ones,
right,
but
right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Because
if you
Yeah,
want
I'm
to,
ready. Yeah, no, I'm excited, man.
I'll give you his information. I mean, as everything, we're always looking for new people. We're going through.
That'd
I
be
just
fun.
got off the phone it's like about an hour and a half ago, and we're starting to get our traffic back. We figured out what the reason behind our traffic falling down. We figured it out, so we're gonna
Oh, okay.
be we're in the process of fixing it, and when we fix it, it's going to be back to the way it was because during COVID, we were getting anywhere from 1 million views a month on the website. And
Wow.
most articles, most of it was the articles that were being seen were satire, not sports articles, satire. I don't know if you know what satire writing is. It's where they
Yes.
make
Onion. Yeah,
they
the hard times,
So-
the onion. Yeah, it's tongue in cheek. Yep.
about, I don't know, how people put their toilet paper. Whatever. I just throwing something out there as far as like, should it be up or down? That's the type of writer he is. And he alone was getting 500,000 views a month.
Wow.
on his-
Wow.
And then
Ralph.
and again, guys, that's seen by writers, and more importantly, that's seen by athletes, because it all gets mixed through X, and then they're saying, oh, that last name, Walker, Mangold, Tenor, Lewis, oh, that guy Weezer, oh, he's pretty funny, or oh wow, Adam, dude, that was a great podcast. You just get it once you're on the mark, and then the more people you're networking with, man, once you start podcasting it, like if we start really gaining some momentum here, who knows where it could go on any of our endeavors. So like I was just super pumped. We all got serious skills to bring to the table. And now it's
So, yeah,
like you're kind of like you're front and center, like you're giving us that blueprint. So I really appreciate it, man. Just for us to kind of emulate and maybe network with and whatever.
Like I said, if you're interested, I can put you in touch with him. And being that
Maybe.
you're in Connecticut, if you want to, we would then reach out to, of course, UConn would be who we'd reach out to, or anybody.
I'm in New York. I'm in New York, so I'm 20 minutes from Citi Field, and I'm 25 minutes from Yankee Stadium. So I definitely wouldn't be doing that, but I wouldn't. Do I have to? No, I could write a piece about the sub. Yeah, I'll talk to them.
I mean, I said don't
But,
say no because I'm going to get the raise either. I didn't think. Hey, I'm not. The people
I was
that
gonna say that'd be a pipe dream. Wow. Okay.
like the mark guys like that are.
I'll ask again if we'll talk about it on the side, Brad. But I'll send them. I'm just now finding again, like literally inspired by you guys. My dad was like commentating. He's like one of his key things of 2 days straight looking, kind of testing him out. He's like, are you ever going to get back into writing, sports writing? That's what I was trying to say before. Like I had it like right out of school, and then I just totally abandoned it. And Adam's been really good. Like get it back. And I just, the more and more with my dad's situation, I realized time's limited. And dude, I'm with 3 guys easily as talented as me. Yeah, I wrote it a newspaper. I'm not trying to be like, oh, I did it first.
Right.
Hell no. Your stuff's bigger and better and more relevant. But it's just like, hey man, I used to ride that bike. It's a little older, but maybe I could ride with these guys too. So it's been like a really cool, positive experience. It's tough for me to like channel that too, and in less minutes hopefully. But that's what I was trying to shoot at there. It's just all good. Like I think we're all, in long story, we're all equally talented. It doesn't matter the athleticism or what. It's just once you get in there, if you're really hitting the right notes, and dude, you're friends with the usher, Brad. Friends with the janitor, dude. Friends with the equipment manager. The equipment manager knows the star Ray. The star Ray is dating his sister. So, do you want to talk to him, Brad? Yeah, you can talk to the Cy Young winner, dude. Once you're making those personal connections, dude.
Once you make headway,
you're just as good as the guy. You're just as powerful as any writer in that building. You're just as powerful as any writer in that entire stadium. It's all about networking once you're inside the stadium.
Just don't forget us little fish. Just don't forget us little fish.
Yeah.
We're gonna sneak in with you.
We want to ride
and Adam, we're gonna sneak in. Lou, I want you writing the podcast and doing nine things, Lou. I'm just kidding. Lou, you do like 25 different things online. I'm the lazy guy. I've been inspired by you guys, so whatever.
Well,
if I ever do make it
I'm,
big, I'll
I'm,
never.
I'm finally jumping into. I'm finally jumping in with more activity for the team and whatever. And I'm muting.
Oh, my Threshers did end up losing the game 3-2. So
Oh.
second loss. So it is what
Yeah.
it is.
Can't win
Can't win
them
them
all.
all.
That's
Can't win them
right.
all.
No.
Can't
Be
win them
hard to
all.
do.
But I mean, I would say the only league that I know that I'm not going to say blacklisted from as far as writers go is the NFL. It's very hard from how small we are to get into NFL games. So that would be the only league that I would say.
No worries, man. No worries. I just write about whatever you guys need just to get in and just start writing. I love hockey, I love baseball, I love tennis, whatever. Whatever you guys want to just test me out, and I'll quietly do it. Whatever. We'll talk more later. I didn't mean to steal any thunder or steal any attention
I was
away.
going to say, I don't personally write about the NBA because I would have to drive 2.5 hours to Orlando every night to cover basketball, and I'm just not into that.
I can just write a piece about the. I could write a piece about the NBA playoff race, or just something as simple as that from afar. We can figure it out.
I'll be honest with you. I would love to be a media member at a NASCAR race, even though I'm not a NASCAR.
I'm sure.
Sure.
It as a media member, and I've tried to get credentials to WWE events. I applied for WrestleMania when it was Raymond James.
That's awesome.
I applied for Royal Rumble when it was at Tropicana Field, and I didn't get it. I don't know if the WWE has too many like outside writers. You know what I mean? Like they have all their guys.
yeah.
So I don't know how many outside people, and I also they look at your website. Okay, they go on our website. There's been not one WWE article. Why would I give you credentials if I don't see any wrestling articles at all?
Wherever you guys think I can get a good credential, just literally, I'll be like the old put me in coach. Like I'm a hungry athlete. I'll put me in at forward or defense or goalie. If they want me to write hockey, I'll figure it out. Like, and I'm in an area where I can figure it out. I can apply to Lou. There's 20 different stadiums in an hour and a half drive, whether it's soccer or whatever. I'll figure something out.
You call me. I will walk you through it. You type up that article, you send it to me. I'll read that some bitch and I'll tell you what you got right, what you got wrong. And I'll send it back. Hockey is my baby. Hockey is my first love. Hockey is my first love. If you want somebody to read it, you want to write us, you want to write. I'm not a writer.
Yeah.
I'm not a writer. I look like I can force them into a sentence. I'm not the writer guy. But if you want me, I'm a reader. I will happily read anything you write, and it doesn't have necessarily be hockey. But if you're not comfortable with, if you want to write up this weekend, you watch.
I got stuff ready right now. I got an article ready on the brotherly shove, the tush push. That's like 2 pages long.
Yeah.
If you're doing a college exam, it's like 9 paragraphs about why aren't other teams using it? Like, because they can't, because of the personnel, the coaching, and the quarterback who deadlifts 700 pounds. So I have a couple ideas for a big Eagles article. I just need someone to help me showcase. I'm ready to write.
Send me that article. Let me read it. And then I can forward it to Brad, and then Brad can send it on up the chain to Ralph, or he can have Ralph.
Over the weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been kind of working out on the sideline without even an invite to the game. So I have some stuff ready to show.
Yeah.
If this is something you're passionate about, if this is something you feel strongly about, if it's something you want to try to do, we'll work with you.
Yeah.
Brad, I'm sure Brad worked with me trying to get. When I first, we go all the way back to the very beginning, the third ever show I was on.
I'll be right
Brad
back.
wanted me to reach out. Who was that? I don't even. It wasn't Ralph. It was the other guy that you were working with at the time.
It's John and Ralph, right? Or is it? I just see it on Facebook, right? Isn't it John, Brad, or? I got Ralph. I talked to Raphael, right? Or is it Ralph?
There was
we had another guy that we podcasted with.
I'll send it, I'll send like an email to you, Brad. I don't want to bother them, and maybe just be like, hey, let's send it up to the command. Hey, look at what my buddy Alex wrote. And then they might be like, hey, put them out on basketball, like high school or college. I'll cover whatever they really want.
can I be honest with you guys? I
Yes.
have posted articles to In the Zone, Kevin's website, and they've been
Mhm.
approved.
Really?
So, yeah.
Wow.
So,
well, I'll be damned.
I got articles
So-
ready. Just give me the heads up on
I-
how to do it, and I'll get stuff written this weekend to send to whoever that you can show for me if you want, or I'll send it to them directly. Whatever you guys want.
yeah, that's just go ahead and send them to me, Alex, or
Over the weekend.
have Adam.
Yeah.
I'll send them to Ralph because
Okay.
Ralph
Over the
will
weekend. Cool.
one or the other. Yeah.
Well, I'll say this for Brad. Brad believed in me. I believed in me.
So
Brad
important.
thought I
So
was.
important.
Brad really did. No, he really did. Because I know we tell this story at least once a month on here. But when I first found Brad through Von Allen, because Von Allen had done some YouTube stuff, and he said he was going to be on this Bradley Walker show. I've never even heard of Bradley Walker. Who the hell is this guy? He's like, but I really like Von Allen. I really want to pick Von Allen's brain about Tom Brady because he wrote a huge fluff piece on Tom Brady. Great, don't get me wrong. It was a stroke of genius.
He compared the two quarterbacks, determined who he thought was the better of the two. And
I love that.
if you go,
Dude, comparisons like that are great.
I don't know if it's still up his book page, but if it is, go watch it because it completely changed my mind. It completely changed my mind on everything.
Awesome,
I'll
dude.
find
go ahead, Adam.
I'll find it on his YouTube and I'll send it to you later,
Heck
Alex.
yeah, man.
So to make a long story even longer, I called Brad's number and I was like, he's like, hey, who is this? I told him who I was. And he's like, well, what do you want to talk about? I was like, well, if you don't mind, I'll listen and you do whatever you can do your first part of your show. And then when you bring Von Allen in, if he's cool with it, I'll come back in and ask him a couple of questions. And so he was like, okay, yeah, sure. Sounds great. So he did a first hour the way he used to do it back in the day, where he would go through his topics and then he set up his interview and so then he's like, he brought Von Allen in, he asked him like a question or two, and he's like, hey, yeah, I got a listener on the line who'd like to talk to you if that's okay with you. And Von was like, yeah, sure, bring him on. So I asked him a couple of questions and I tried to throw it back to Brad. I kept trying to throw it back to Brad. I'm like, this is your interview. You do the damn interview.
Yeah,
he's like, no, you guys go. It's like, okay, well, if you're giving me the ball, I'm gonna run with it.
Yeah.
I was quiet
and take off.
He goes, Brett, are you going to talk anytime soon? I'm like, I'm just going to let you two talk. I was just like, I was sitting back. And then the next week, not to cut Adam off, but the next week, Adam goes, well, Adam messaged me after the show. After we were done with Von Allen, he was like, we exchanged friendships on Facebook and I'll let Adam finish the story, but yeah. I'll let Adam finish.
I'll give you an opportunity to tell your side of the story because I always tell the story from my perspective. So a couple weeks later, he reaches out. Now I reached out to him on Facebook afterwards. Told him I really liked his show because it was just a sports show and it was like what I've been craving in a sports show. He just talked sports. There wasn't movies. There wasn't politics. There wasn't drama. It was just a sports show. And
good old fun.
And I thanked him for letting me be on and Bogart his show for a half hour, 45 minutes. And he was like, oh yeah, no, you were great. And then a couple weeks later, he's like, because that would have been June or July of 2019. And then a couple weeks later, he reached out to me and said, hey, would you like to come on and talk Michigan football? And I was like, does a chicken have lips? The answer to that question is no, but the answer to your question is yes. And so I came on and like it was like 3 weeks later, I came on and I started and we talked Michigan football for a good solid hour, just going back and forth. And then we kind of talked.
You're in the game right there. You're already part of the team right there.
And then he kept bringing me back for some reason. I don't know why, but then he was like, and then he was like, well, do you want to be like a permanent fixture? You come on at 9:00. And I said, yeah, sure, why not? And then Lou got involved and Lou was coming.
Yeah, I
I was
did.
coming on at 9, and Lou was coming on at, and then I would get off and listen to the rest of the show. And Lou would come in at 9:30, and
Right.
then
Nice.
Brad was like, "Well, why don't I just?" Because there was one topic in particular. It wasn't that show. It was before the infamous show. It was.
Yeah.
Yes.
He said, "Why
The
don't I
never
just bring
again.
you
The
guys
never
both
again.
on?"
My
Why don't I
uh,
bring
my
both
my
of
like
you
my like poor man Sirianni meltdown. Yeah, that's never again. I didn't even say that. So moving on.
No, not that show. A different
Oh
show.
yeah,
We
yeah.
haven't even got.
Well,
You're not even in the.
well,
You're not even a
well
twinkling
then,
in your father's eye
well,
for
at
this
least
show yet.
but at
No.
least I covertly got that out of the way. Though, so now we don't have to. No, I'm
No,
an open.
no.
I'm fully. Yeah, I'm accountable. I've already alluded to it, but yeah, I'm a new man. Wink,
No,
wink.
I wasn't
But
even.
yeah, but yeah, continue.
That wasn't even alluding to that. I was alluding to another entirely different debacle of a show.
Right.
Oh, wow.
So Brad was like, why don't I just bring both you guys on at the same time, and we'll just be we'll
Yeah.
be a threesome or a trio. Yes.
Right.
Maybe more appropriate. Both kind of
The most
whatever.
wackiest trio in history.
I don't know how to keep going with that. So I shouldn't have touched it, but I chat too much. So I got stuck with that one. So Adam, you own that. Continue. Don't say threesome again.
Right.
On your way. Get that away from me.
Then we had the infamous show, and that was the
Show.
the Rooney Rule show, the ultimate disaster show for us.
Yes.
More so than even Alex's disaster. That was a show. The Alex show.
I tried hard.
We ended up not even. We took that one down because of because we ended up having to work with our co-star here and straighten some things out, and we
needed some work. You needed some work.
We
behind the
just made
scenes.
up.
Little reset, new philosophy, everything.
We polished that turd.
The repairs seem to have worked. We're watching it closely. So far, so good.
and that's when we ended up on StreamYards, and then we ended up doing, and then it's continued to evolve into the form that it is now. And I'll turn it back over.
Yeah.
Always get better. Always be creatively evolving. But yeah,
I'm gonna turn it back to Brad, because I always tell this story from my perspective, and I want to hear how Brad's version compares and contrasts with mine.
So would I.
Well, it's very, very similar. It was the Von Allen show that kind of changed everything around, because Adam was right. What I would do is, just like the topics that I send you guys now, I would take the first hour and give my opinion. And then what I would do is then I'd bring Adam on for a half hour, then Lou on for a half hour, and then go over what I said. And I would, again, sometimes they would agree, and sometimes they would tell me why they disagreed with me. And I respect that. I'm not going to be one. I'll never be that type of guy who's not going to respect somebody else's opinion. I'm not. Yeah. I can't. I'm not to judge anybody. I don't care where you come from, where you are now in life. I'm not here to judge anybody. I'm not God or Jesus. I'm not judge anybody. That's not what I do. But anyway, had Adam come on, and then after a while, it was a decision that the three of us together, like, hey, why don't I just bring you guys on at the same time, and we'll go through the topics together. Now, there were shows that had a bazillion topics, and we get through all of them. There's other shows that we get through 3 or 4, and that's all we do, or we talk about 2 of them, and that's the whole show. But it was fun in a way, because I got to get different topics. And again, now I have somebody who, if I have a NASCAR question or any motorsports, not just NASCAR in general, any motorsports at all, I can go to him and go, hey, Adam, I read this article. What are they referring to? Because you have more information than I do, because I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
And then with Lou, it's the NBA, the WNBA. He's it's a basketball. So any questions I have about the draft, which I know the WNBA draft is ready to go off here soon. But anyway,
I love the NBA.
Obi scored 96.
And Brad, I think maybe recently, since everyone's pretty awesome at baseball, maybe recently having known me a little bit more. Maybe if there's a chance, if there's maybe 2 or 3 ideas with Raph or with the guys above you. I love NBA. So now you have that a little, because I posted a little bit more on that. Like, we all have a little bit of a niche, but the cool thing about us is we can all really cover a little bit of everything too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the Rooney Rule show, the one he's referring to, I had everybody lined up. And I mean, I'm talking from every aspect of life, every race. I had one of everybody lined
Doing
up.
Strom, no, doing Strom.
For some reason or another, the phone system that we use to bring people on the air would not work. They could hear
No.
me, I couldn't hear them. And I had
It was a
Ralph,
mess.
I had other
Didn't you have
people ready.
Kevin?
I had Kevin, yeah. I had everybody in the back, and all of a sudden I got so upset that I said, I can't get this thing to work. I remember Ralph calling me right after I had gone off the air. He goes, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "No." I go, "Ralph, this was really big for me. This was a show that I had put in effort to get these people to come on, and we tried logging out and giving me a new
Yes.
number. Every which thing we did, it would not work for some off the wall reason. And now that's one of the reasons why I don't have a call-in number anymore, because it's screwed up. And I understand,
Yeah.
Lou's got one because he gives the number out every week. And
That's
I know
right.
Kevin and those guys all have one too. And I remember calling in. That's how I got started on doing this. Is Kevin saw my writing, and he would call me and say, "Hey, Brad, we're talking about golf, and the Masters started today, the first major of the year, in Augusta National." But he would call me and say, "Okay, we're talking about the Masters. Could you come on for 15, 20 minutes and talk?" As soon as I was done, I would get off the air and I would listen to the rest of the show. After a while, Kevin's like, "Hey, do you want to do your own show?" And then in the beginning, and I'll be honest with you guys, I did audio. I never did video. And after a
Same
while,
here.
Kevin said to me, he goes, "You got to do video, dude. You can't just do audio. You're going to be on the internet. You got to do audio. You got to do video, I mean." So I had to, the first show, I had a couple people. I had my dad call me my first show. He was my first caller, my dad. And then I had a couple people from local radio call me. Pat Donovan, who's on 620 WDAE. Rock Riley's another local radio guy that I've had talk. And I'll tell you what,
That's your area, right?
I've
Awesome
seen
right
Rock
there.
and
Great networking right away, man.
Yeah.
Rock Riley's one of the nicest guys you can meet. He'll always talk to you. I bumped
humans.
into him at Rays games last year, but that's kind of how it all started to where we are now. And yeah, we have shows that were bad and we get rid of them and we mend our bridges or whatever. And
Learn lessons.
You should have seen the first show I did.
Oh, I was talking about with our other friend.
No, hold on. Wait, guys. No, wait.
Oh, yeah.
No, hold on. This was before I got my own. This is before 2018. So one night, I was doing my substitute days, because that's how you get your training and stuff. My first show, and I was a wreck. I didn't know what the controls were doing or anything. I was like 5 minutes before I was supposed to go. Like, what am I doing? What am I doing? Luckily, I had some help, and thankfully, that went off without a hitch, and everything. And that's what started. And now since then, it's now been 9 years. I'm closing in almost 400 shows.
Congratulations.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the way I got into
But my first show, I was a mess.
Audio. And I met Lou. Lou randomly called. We called it. It was just an audio, so it was just by phone. That was just my first brief stint. So I've never really been on a video podcast. Technically, legally I hadn't. I never had. So, but I did get exposed just by audio. I love the video more just because you can put a face to it. I love Lou's format too. The show, like calling in. I like that calling in too, because it's more old school. I grew up. My dad would listen to baseball on his radio, listening to Bob Gibson and the Cardinals. My dad's 87. 87. So his grand. I'm talking my first game with George Brett Pine-Tar. So I love. So I stopped playing baseball in 7th grade, but I'm a huge baseball fan to this day. You can't play lacrosse and baseball in the same season. So I'm not watching lacrosse. I'm a baseball nut because of that. It's just like Lou with your but when you called into that show, Lou, we would never have met each other, and we had hardly any audience, and I wasn't even running it. Remember that, Lou? It was my buddy's show. I was the co-host.
Yeah,
That's how
well,
me and Lou met, and then Lou brought me to Brad and
but the thing
Adam, and
was
then
though,
now
during
we're all
that call,
here.
during that call, there was a problem because they said I had too much pine tar on my phone, so we had a problem with that. Okay, alrighty now.
But I mean, and it just
Hey,
like,
now leave the
and,
comedy to the fans.
and literally, you know,
Look,
might not have gone to like another game for 3 or
look,
4 more summers. We didn't have money. We didn't even live near the city. We're a couple. My dad's from the Mizzou, and we got a modest place in when I was growing up in Connecticut, and then. You know, we literally just, oh my God, I don't think he'd been in the city either. And we show up at Yankee Stadium together.
look.
And my first game ever, and it's freaking George Brett, just one of the most legendary like sports plays ever for like 15 minutes straight. I was like, you want to talk about hooked on sports. So yeah, that's why I got a big
I
problem
remember
with
that. I remember that game actually because I saw what
I've been just hooked on sports since then. I guess it was just
now. Let me tell you
problematic or
something, guys.
good, whatever you want to call it.
I remember that game very well because I was watching that game as it happened, and I was thinking, okay,
Wow.
Brett hits the home run, like, okay, game's over, or we got it. No, we had to come up for the ninth inning because we were at home. Then all of a
Wow.
sudden, I see something very, very suspicious here. I've never seen this before in a game in my life. And then Billy Martin, he goes, I think I smell a rat here, fellas. Like, which is here? Let me see here. Hey, I smell a rat here. Hey, George, I got to tell you, you're out. What? What do you mean about? That was a clear home run. What are you talking about? That was a clear home
That's
run.
great. Just
It's
goes
kind
to
of-
show, man. There's always that was so
But
random.
you know what?
We weren't even. We were so random just to show up on that one day. I was no better than
But
any
you know
fan.
what?
It's like,
That's kind of like
you
that's
never
kind of
know
like
what you're going
McEnroe.
to see. Yeah,
Yeah.
That ball was out. What are you kidding?
McEnroe.
I have
So
a
it's
lie here.
so random, and that literally hooked me for life. So it's like the games we see at Brad. I just wanted to say, like, even at minor league stadium, you can see a guy that might be an all-star in 2030. In 2031, he might be sitting up for the Red Sox. He might be playing left field for the Tigers. And dude, he might be the smallest 18. He might be the smallest looking 18-year-old outfielder on that roster. But the more you get around that team, the more you see his work ethic on the sidelines, jogging before the games, interacting with his teammates, taking everything seriously. You're going to be able to identify him, not us. And you're going to say, "Hey guys," on social media, you can say, "Hey, you know what?
Hey, it's Jeff.
I've been watching Hector Johnson, Hector whoever, and this guy's got a shot." And then the next week, you're going to say, once again, Hector has gone 9 for 14 in his last 3 games. So you're like following that player. You're suddenly like a personal expert on a future all-star. So you start following players who you kind of believe. You're like quietly betting on them, and you can kind of see that. Yeah.
I need to apologize. I sent Jeff the link, and I realized on X it never went through. I just recently. That's why he wasn't part of the show.
Week,
I'm like,
next week.
Oh shit! It never went through.
Say what?
And I'm like, oh, that was my fault, guys, for not checking. So that's on me. That's on me.
Yeah. But I think the minor leagues there'll be a lot of young talent. You know, we'll see a couple of guys. So like it'll be a cool, like it'll be a challenging assignment for you, and it'll be really rewarding and fun because you'll literally be like scouting, almost like a scout, because those guys aren't big names yet. You'll kind of quietly be assessing and observing, and you'll be kind of in charge of kind of seeing who the really good players are. So you're going to know a heck of a lot about that area, and people in that stadium are going to start knowing your first and last name. You're in the building, so only good things can happen now.
Cool. Well, Jeff is on. If you guys want to ask anything about the draft or who he's got fixed, because what he does. So,
all right, Jeff. What do the Jets need?
What don't they need? Well, let's start with continuing to rebuild their offensive line. You're going to need more depth on that rotation on the pass rush. You got rated in the secondary, so you still need to reload some pieces there. And you still need to get younger at wide receiver because you brought in a bunch of veterans to go with the young wide receiver you have. You need more young guys to continue to grow with your young quarterback.
Mm-hmm. I think that's their problem. They keep going for the quarterback. I think their biggest problem.
Well, you need it, but they keep making the wrong choice, right?
Right.
First it was Sam Darnold, but Sam Darnold wasn't ready for the situation you were throwing him in. Then you bring
Absolutely.
in Wilson, and Zach Wilson wasn't the guy that you thought he was. And
They should
there were
have called him
guys
Hack Wilson.
yeah. Well, the funny part was there were guys that really believed that he was. And I know a lot of guys that were in that camp. I wasn't one of those guys. You know, he was considerably lower on my board than he was on a lot of people's boards. But and there were signs in college that he may or may not be the guy. But if I'm going number 3 overall, I want somebody I know is the guy, not he may or may not be the guy. So they were better quarterbacks that they could have taken. They passed over them for him, and they've learned a lesson.
Right.
So we're kind of at an impasse. We can't both talk at the same time. I'll give you the floor. I'll give you the floor back here in just a second, Lou. But so this is my perspective on the draft. It's kind of a twofer. I'm going to kind of give you a twofer and let you run with it. I kind of feel like this is a weak quarterback draft. And with that being said, do you agree or disagree with that? And looking at the top 2 quarterbacks in Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders, do you have faith in either one of them, or do you? Because I feel like they're both project quarterbacks that probably should be late first round, early second rounders. But I'm not a quarterback whisperer. I'm not a guru. I'm just a guy that likes football. And what I've seen from both those guys really hasn't blown me out of the water with some of the guys that are going to be available next year in Arch. Maybe because I've heard the rumor mill is swirling around Arch that he may actually stay at Texas another year. So in a long-winded way of saying, would you stay away from the quarterbacks, or do you like the 2 that are at the top of the board?
I like this quarterback class. I don't think it's the most, I don't think it's the most generational talent heavy. I think you can get some starters here. What kind of starter you get? Are you going to get an average to good starter in this class? Absolutely. Are you going to get a exceptional starter in this class? If there's somebody that you believe is that good, I think Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders are going to be very good starters eventually, if they end up in the right situation. I think when you look at those 2 guys, they're both talented quarterbacks, both in this year. Did good things for their teams. They carried their teams in a lot of situations. I can't count how many games Miami should have lost if had it not been for Cam Ward. The same with Shedeur Sanders. The problem with the 2, and the reason I have them 1 and 2 on my board, with room behind them before you get the dart. And the reason being, I have Cam Ward slightly ahead. And it's because of the style of play. It's not so much because of the talent. They're both, like I said, they're both very talented. Their grades are very close, but why I have Cam Ward ahead is because this style of play. Shedeur Sanders was asked to do almost everything. There was no real running game in Colorado. The offensive line was kind of shabby, and he held the ball a lot because he had to hold it and save the day too often, which led to him make mistakes. He would, take sacks, take a beating, or he would also throw the ball away and get intentional grounding calls because he couldn't get it back to the line of scrimmage because he's going off his back foot. So he had to kind of play a hero ball that's a detriment at the NFL level. So that kind of, when you talk about their grade, why aren't they like this? Because that kind of thing in his game carries over sometime, and it'll be a problem at the next level. There's something he's going to have to break out of. He's got to learn to stay on schedule when it comes to throwing the football, take the check down a lot more, live to play another down. Don't hold the ball and consistently make that play, because NFL pass rushers are way more ferocious. Those guys are way more skilled. They're better at closing angles on you. So when you think that you're breaking away, they're able to turn and close a lot faster than college pass rushers. So that's where when it comes down to it, he's got to learn to play on schedule and play within the scheme and not try to play the hero ball. If he could do that, he's going to be an exceptional quarterback.
Okay, so I
great, Jeff. Go for it, Adam. Go for it, Adam.
I don't mean to hug all the time, but I just had a follow-up question. Do you think they're worth a top 5 pick, or do you? Because I don't have them graded as a top 5. I'm super leery on drafting quarterbacks super high unless they're a Peyton Manning, because it's at the end of the day it's a business and it's all about money. and if I'm giving, if I'm the Giants, or I forget who's at the top of the board offhand, but if I'm a top 5 picker, I don't want a guy that's going to be that I'm going to have to that's going to need to be coached to get him. So I'm leery on using a top 5, top 10 pick on those guys. Do you think I would be, if I'm a GM, if I'm coming to you and asking you, hey Jeff, these are the guys that are on my board. I'm looking at Mason Graham. I'm looking at Shedeur Sanders. I'm looking at Kenneth Grant. Some of these other guys. Do you think that they're worth a top 5 pick, or do you think should I steer clear of them because I'm the Giants, I'm the Panthers, I'm one of these other teams at the top of the draft board, and I need to get better right now? Yeah. Do you think they can make the team better right now, or am I better off going offensive line, defensive line?
If I'm the New York Football Giants, I take one of the 2 quarterbacks, because you have your quarterbacks that are your bridge quarterbacks on the roster. You have Russell Wilson and you have Jameis Winston. Those 2 guys are your bridge to your future. So you can take one of these 2 guys and let them sit and learn a year and learn to be an NFL quarterback, franchise quarterback. Or you can take the risk, pass on those 2 guys, take one of those guys we're talking about, a Travis Hunter. We could take the pass rusher from Penn State. You can go after any one of those guys, right? And then come back in round 2. And if Dart, Ewers, Will Howard, Gabriel, or any one of those guys are there, you can take one of those guys then. Are they going to be as good as those first 2 guys? No. And that's where you look at it and go, okay, well, we could have had one of those better guys. We did take a good player who may help us right now, but he doesn't help the franchise in the long term. One good thing about it is, by taking a top 5 guy, it's not just somebody who's going to help you right now. It's going to help you long term. You're planning on having this guy for 2 or 3 contracts. And will you have a Will Howard for 2 or 3 contracts? Maybe not. Will you have, a Quinn Ewers for that long? Maybe not. Yeah. Quinn Ewers, there's a lot of questions. I expected a lot more out of Quinn Ewers coming out of Texas. In this last year, I think this really kind of set him back, because he was supposed to be QB1 on a lot of people's boards.
Yeah. Hey, Jeff, what's going on, man? It's Alex Weiser. I'm actually love the shirt, man. Western Connecticut Wolves. I'm from Fairfield. What's a Fairfield Prep? Jesuits. Kind of old school. And then back in the day, and then right next door, man. I love that. That's a cool. Do you have any connections to that school, as far as like what kind of significance does that shirt hold?
Well, this is Western Connecticut Militia. So I was coaching minor league semi-pro up there in Danbury.
Danbury.
We had a lot of West Con guys, though. Our starting running back for the last 4 seasons was their all-time leading rusher. So
that's great.
We had a good. Cool. We did pull from there quite a bit, and some of our guys did come from there. We actually sent a guy over there. One of the coach's sons eventually did go there and play wide receiver.
Awesome.
So we had some connection to West.
Yeah, you're living proof. You're a testament, Jeff, that there's really good talent. Sometimes obviously we all know ball, like SEC proud, and the Buckeyes and Wolverine. There's some darn good football players and athletes over in Little Connecticut. So way to represent us well. I had a question, man. I had a question, Jeff. I really, you have such a good wealth of knowledge in these areas, man. We want to pick your brain while we got you. I know you're busy. So just, you touched on Abdul Carter. Everyone saw the Super Bowl, and for the last 20 years, right? I mean, you got to get to the quarterback, not just last year. It's been a theme for a while that you got to get to the quarterback. I wanted to ask you, though, because they play off of each other, right? If you don't have a good pass rush, your secondary is going to get exposed.
Absolutely.
If you have a leaky secondary, it doesn't matter if you have a good pass rush. So they got to be working in unison. So that being said, for a lot of these playoff teams, it seems to me like there's not a lot of talk about any really good safeties. And again, now in more of a passing league, every team would salivate over the prospect, the chance to land a Ronnie, maybe not a Ronnie Lott, a Polamalu, a Trent, even Dawkins. But nowadays, a Kyle Hamilton for Ravens. Give us someone who's the closest that might get to maybe just, you know what, you watch him on tape, Jeff, and you've watched him a few times the last couple of weeks going, whoever gets the safety, he's going to be a day one starter. Why don't you give us maybe 1 or 2 safety names to look for?
Well, there's quite a few of them. We'll start with Nick Eminori from South Carolina. A guy that can do it all. He can cover. He can hit. He has the range to play over the top.
Yep.
Yeah, so he's extremely, extremely talented athlete. So when you talk about all the athletic testing, he killed all that stuff. But when you watch the tape, he's a guy that's played some corner, he's played some slot, he's played the safety role, he does them all at a high level. And he's one of those things, if he's the highest rated safety on my board. And I don't have a first round grade on safeties, which I don't have a ton of first round grades every year. I only have the max usually about 18. This year I have about 10.
Good for you, man.
So
selective. Don't overvalue people and put it out. Be honest. That was great.
Yeah. And it's something that, those are special grades. First round grades are very special. So, and that's how the NFL grade views it. We may take guys in the first round, but a lot of times there's a lot of second round grades mixed in there. But Eminori's the first one. Xavier Watts from Notre Dame, another guy that can go back there and contribute right away. Billy Bowman from Oklahoma is another one. Malachi Starks from Georgia is another one. Lathan Ransom is another one. I'm very high on Lathan Ransom. He's going to be a guy that factors into somebody's secondary, if not year one, year two. So Andrew Makuba is another one from Texas. Kevin Winston from Penn State. So there's a lot of talent in this safeties class. When you get to the middle of the board, they're going to be flying off. The Jonas Sankers, the Malachi Moores, the Jalen Reeds, the Craig Woodsons. Right? There's a lot of good defense from Cal in this draft that are going to go on day 3. So there's a lot of talent on the board in certain positions. There's certain ones where it's slim pickings. Mike linebacker is one of those slim pickings positions. You're going to get some high, there's going to be a gap, and then day 3, you may see a couple go off the board. But for the most part, safety, cornerback, pass rush, edge rusher, D tackle are going to be some of the most picked over defensive positions in this draft because there's a lot of talent in those groups.
That's awesome. And I love how you and Adam kind of like correlated, kind of tag teamed on that idea of, and long story short, I mean, even we want Sanders to be great. We want Cam to represent Miami and do an awesome job as a pro. But you just never want to like force love, right? You never want to. You never want to expect too much. You don't want to just draft because you need a quarterback if it's not going to be a franchise quarterback. So you don't want to force the pick. So I like how you break it down. Like I think a lot of teams fall victim to that where they're, we've seen it before. A couple franchises in the league have had 5 or 6 quarterbacks in the last decade. So it's like you can shoot blanks, but like save your bullets for the real ones instead of shooting blanks at these scrubs. Like wait for the one. You don't want to just say, oh, we need one, so he's going to be the one. You got to kind of know that he's going to be a game-changing franchise guy. Like, how is that the toughest quarterback in football, or the toughest position in football to really get right? You think for these teams, quarterback
is tough, but I think one of the tougher ones now is the offensive line, and it's because what we're seeing now, as opposed to previous years. Well, you need a very good offensive line. You're seeing a lot of teams swing and miss on left tackles, right? You're seeing guys go out there, they draft this left tackle high. He's got all the build. He's got all the things you like about him. And he goes out there and struggles, and they can't seem to get it right. Then they kick him to guard after 2 years, and he can't seem to get it right. Then he bounces around the league for the next 6 years. You go, whatever happened with this guy, right? And it's because when you look at the offensive linemen coming out now in college with the spread offense, you're not protecting a 5 and 7 step drop consistently. You're throwing a lot of screens. You're throwing a lot of hitches. You're throwing a lot of RPO, a lot of quick throws. So their pass sets, they're very good in the short and the quick sets, not so much in their kick slide and mirroring pass rushers and holding up in long time protection. So when you go to the NFL, you have to protect the 5 and 7 step drop. And you can't do it, and these pass rushers are beating you consistently. You're getting holding penalties. And all of a sudden they're going, why is this guy struggling? This is why. They're not developed enough at the college level. Then you're trying to rush them on the field at the NFL level and thinking that they're going to develop along the way. Sometimes you have to sit a guy. Sometimes you have to play a guy out of position. If he's a left tackle, you may have to have a veteran left tackle his rookie year so he can play right tackle and get used to the NFL. Then you can kick him after he gets the experience to the left side and see if he's really worth it. Some guys are like that. I remember everybody was really on Connor Williams? Is he going to be that Connor Williams is going to be one of the best tackles coming out?
Yeah, dude.
And
Yeah.
Dallas took him and made him a guard. They said, why did they make him a guard? Well, we didn't think he was going to hold up with lengthwise at tackle. Well, he didn't hold up strengthwise at guard either, right? And he wound up bouncing around in Miami as a center and somewhere else as a center, and I don't even know where he is now. But you talk about Orlando Brown Jr., a lot of people in that draft process, he was my left tackle 1 at first, and then he fell to my left tackle 3 after all the testing because he sort of struggles with his athleticism. But if you watch the film, he's a 6'8" tackle with 35-inch arms who knows how to use it. So even when his feet don't move and get you there, he can push you past the quarterback with those 35-inch arms, which is why he doesn't consistently struggle versus pass rushers. He may struggle with speed, but he doesn't consistently struggle on every down. He's going to win some of those battles. He's going to lose some of those battles, right? Which is why he's been paid and he's Joe Burrow's blindside protector, right? So when you look at it, there are certain guys who may not have all the tools, but they have certain things about them that help them play the game and they know how to use it and execute. So you have to look at it, and he's a guy that had to develop. He started at right tackle for the Ravens before going to left tackle for Kansas City, right? And then after that, he's been a left tackle ever since. He's one of those guys, and there's a few others that you see like that, right? They go out there, they play the right side, eventually go to the left, and they never move again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean, a case in point, being a Birds fan, happy as heck, of course, but just a lot of hard workers. And, you know, the draft is important. Look at Jordan Mailata, 6'8", all-world. He was a rugby player till he was 17. He didn't even hold a football. Now he's a Super Bowl champion right tackle, captain of the Eagles, with a $150 million contract. So you want to talk about the importance of scouting. Yeah, like you said, Jeff, you can't just say, oh, you know what, this guy's 6'5", 330. And he played at that school, he's going to be awesome. No, there's so much more that goes into it. You got to really know these guys and know how just athletic they are. Because like you said, not only Mailata, Jeff, just to drive your point, it was already an awesome point, but just the Eagles have great examples. They've swung, they've moved around and shifted really good young linemen like Dickerson from Alabama.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now Juergens is like Kelsey ×2 without Oladipo. He's just almost as good. And they both played center, Dickers. Yep. They both played 2 or 3 positions, and they're both like 23 years old. So now, for the future, they can play anywhere on the line. So valuable than versus just the guy who can play right tackle. So they're all pretty versatile too. So just finding those guys that are adaptable to change and athletic enough to play other positions. Those guys you must love in the draft, right? The really, really athletic guys and versatile.
You know, versatility is a big thing. Most teams only carry 8 active offensive linemen, maybe 9. You don't get to keep 10. Usually, you got to use those extra spots for other people. So it helps to have those guys. And you're talking about the Eagles. One of the best things you did last year, you took a guy from the Jets who they jettisoned. He was a top pick. They didn't want him. Mekhi Becton, right? They put him at right guard. All of a sudden, helps you get to the Super Bowl. Right, they get it done because you had stability at right guard. All right, so I think when you look at the talent that's there, and Becton was one of my favorite tackles in that class. I think the Jets did him a disservice. You know, they messed with him about his weight. He got his weight down. He had injuries, but if you're not going to believe in a guy, then you move on from him and he goes somewhere else. It shows that more of the problem was you than it really was him. Right. So, because you have to have a plan for a rookie no matter what. Right. You can't just take him and say, okay, kid, throw him in the deep end and think that he's going to swim. You got to have a plan for him. Right. You're bringing guys in to develop. They still have to develop. There's still, a gap between the college game and the NFL game that you have to close. So they have to develop when they come to the NFL. There's no, they may be plug and play, but there's still development along the way. The Jets kind of lost sight of that with a lot of their guys.
Let me ask you.
Yeah, go ahead. So, yeah, good stuff so far, Jeff. Go.
Let me ask you a question about that. You say that the gap between the college and the NFL. Do you think? I'm going to expand it to the last 25. Let me ask you a quick question, and then I'll expand on. How long have you been scouting for?
Since 2017.
2017. So it would be 8 years then. Do you think that the gap between before you've been a football fan your whole life, right?
A fan, and I've also played, but I didn't play in the NFL. Yeah.
Obviously, neither did I. So I'm a pasty white guy from Northern Michigan. Of course, I didn't play in the NFL. But so as a fan, did you play college ball at all?
I left early. I left early. I had a daughter my freshman year, so I left early and I started playing minor league ball when I left.
Okay. Yeah. So that allows me to kind of focus in on my question. So since you left playing ball and then became a scout and now over the last 8 years as a scout, do you think that gap between college and pro ball has narrowed or expanded or stayed the same, or does it kind of fluctuate between year to year, or is it more like it fluctuates between player to player? Or go ahead and go into that, and I'll give you the floor.
I think that the gap kind of widened, and I'll tell you why. And it's not just because of college ball; it's because of all levels, from youth up now, right? I'll give you a little bit of my coaching background. I started after I played minor league ball. I started coaching minor league ball. So with minor league, you get a mix of everything. You get some former pro players, former college players, and you get some guys that played high school and never played anywhere else. All right. So you get a mix of everything. So I've played against guys that were in the NFL. I had teammates that were in the NFL. And I've had guys who've never played anything other than high school ball. But you see the gaps in talent, right? So if you're playing in high school, you're playing against the best in your city, college best in the country, NFL is best in the world for a reason. And what we're seeing now, and I coach high school as well currently. So you're seeing the reason why the spread has become so popular is because it allows you to plug and play athletes. Okay, not so much football players. All right. So if you have a really good athlete that could throw the football, you could put him at quarterback in the spread. He can run zone read. He can do all this stuff. You can throw a lot of short throws. As long as he has a good enough arm to throw deep, you can challenge teams vertically deep. But you can control the game with an athlete. You don't have to teach a quarterback how to read the full field and do all that stuff. You just got to manage the game with an athlete and utilize his skills. With the NFL, you got to manage the game and be an athlete. Okay, so and that's the difference, right? So when you're getting guys, when we talk about the quarterback position, those guys played. Some of those guys played in offenses that you could probably translate to NFL offenses. I mean, a lot of the spread now has a lot of NFL passing concepts. But once again, if you're running a lot of RPO and screen and then throwing the ball on certain concepts, you're only getting about half of what you're getting. I'll give you a prime example. When you're getting professional players and you're getting guys from college, they have to learn an NFL playbook. And this is 800 pages. You got to learn it, master it, and apply it. No college playbook is this big. It's not. You don't have time to teach those guys that much. You give them what you give them.
You're putting in serious work, man. Some people don't know, man. It's not just even the lifting weights. You're studying in that dorm room at midnight when other people are out at the club. You just are. If you want to make it, the guys on the fringe, at least the undrafted guys, become fourth rounders. Yes. And the third rounders become first rounders and make an extra $40 million for not going to the club that one Friday night. Like it takes that extra effort, right? I mean, you've lived it, so you know it.
Sure.
I've held college playbooks in my hand. It's a fraction of that. And that was 20, 30 years ago. That's not even
a lot of hard work.
I'm pretty sure they're bigger, but even then they don't match that. And that just gets bigger and bigger. The NFL books get bigger and bigger.
Remarkable. So it's amazing, man. It's its own major. That's not even talk about the life of a college athlete. We'll do that. We love you as a guest, man. We'd love to pick your brain more and more in the future. Of course, I'm honored. But yeah, it's just amazing that just on a side note for me, just thinking about it, the level of big time college football is just the work ethic it takes just to get on that campus. That's why, we were talking about before you joined, Jeff, just on a more personal note about things going on. And, sometimes with sports media now, you have people that literally not only, they just have no respect for someone who, goes 3 for 12 in a basketball game. It's like, how hard it is to hit 3 shots, to even hit 3 shots with 40,000 people yelling. Like this is in the backyard or NBA 2K. Like a lot of it's mental and just all that hard work that no one will ever know about, that you were doing when it was raining out and everyone was out partying, and you were just, I gotta find a way, whether regardless of where you're from in the world or what sport you're playing, there's so many great stories. So I love the draft and I love experts, because you can tell us those. I like those personalized stories. I like the underdogs. I love, after an Eagles draft, I'll look at the later picks, or I'll study that undrafted just as much as the big name like second rounder. There's so much ways you guys to find talent. Who do you have, like a one or two guys, Jeff, that really stick out? Like this guy really no one knows about, but he could be a star at like any position.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you.
You're the man to ask, man. Couple, like, I like to call them gems, like in like fantasy drafts, like the guys that no one really knows about. This isn't fantasy, this is real life. So who are guys that you're like, you might have up your sleeve that not a lot of people kind of know on the street yet, that know in the circles that we run in?
Well, we were just talking last night to one gentleman. As a matter of fact, we have a show at Team of BS Media, Draft Central. It's every Wednesday night, 9:15 p.m.
Awesome.
Live. It's on YouTube, on our YouTube channels. You can watch it at any time. You don't have to catch it live. We had several young men last night. All of these guys are day 3 guys. We were talking to all the day 3 guys. Ricky Correa, just that day, he was at the San Francisco local day, the 49ers local day. Defensive tackle out of Cal.
Okay.
He's one of those guys who big body D tackle, and not the big hefty, Vince Wilfork body. I mean, long, athletic, good build, and he's strong. He can move. All right. Now, he wasn't asked to do all the heavy pass rush stuff on the inside for Cal. His job was to occupy 2 blockers and stop the run. The next level, a lot of these defensive coordinators are going to want you to move, play the run to the quarterback. They want you to affect the pocket while playing the run. So I expect him to be a lot more active when he gets to the next level, and I think he's prepared for that. He's had, like I said, his role was different. When he gets to the NFL level, you'll see a lot more of his skill set. But I think he's one of those guys. You're looking around day 3. We had a guy last year. I saw at both the FCS Bowl and Tropical Bowl down here, played at one of the smaller Texas A&M schools, Levi Rodriguez, who went to Minnesota last year. Yes. Tore it up in the preseason, made their 53. So he's one of those guys that could do the same thing. He's coming out of nowhere. Now, I don't know anybody talking about a Ricky Correa before we interviewed him last night, but he's out there on teams' radars. We had a big tight end from UMass last night, Jalen Lay, who started at Clemson, went to Alabama State and finished up at UMass.
What's his last name?
Jalen Lay, L.A.
Already, yeah. I'm keeping an eye out. So basically, like, you're seeing something that not a lot of people see. And the cool thing, like man, like the guy you just named, Rodriguez, once he starts shining, you don't even know how good he has more potential than the guy's already made it. So he could be twice as good. This next year, he could improve as much as any first rounder out there. So his jump to stardom is quicker, potentially. So he's a real gem, a real find. So you like Rodriguez and a couple of those linemen. Any running backs you really just like, the Jency guy from Boise State? Anyone else you really like? And then Adam and Luke, go for it after that. I'm sorry, guys.
This is a very loaded running back class. So you're going to hear running back names called. You're not going to hear too many in Thursday night. You're going to get Jonty, and you may get one in the back end if you're lucky. But second and third round, you're going to start to hear some coming off the board. And day 3, they're going to be flying off the board like they were last year on day 3. I'm going to tell you about a couple of guys that are on there. Khalil Mullins from Michigan, right? Not high on a lot of people's boards.
He's downhill, though.
But a quality running back in a committee. He's a guy that's going to come in there and stick on a roster and stick. Yeah, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I could see Mullins making a 53 as a special teamer and playing that third down short yardage. He's got tremendous upside if he can stick at the pro level. I don't see him as anything more than a day 3. I mean, I love the kid. He's a great kid. Don't get me wrong. I'm bleed blue all day, but he's not high on my draft, on my radar. But if I could get him in the sixth,
yeah,
if I could get him in late sixth, early seventh, and I already had a solid, if I had a solid class that I was really, and I was going to take a flyer on a running back late in the draft. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but you talked about one of my boys, so.
Yeah.
No, that's good. Another one, you guys are familiar with Rutgers, right?
Absolutely, man. Yeah. Yeah, lose your jersey.
Yes, I am.
Oh, good, man. Nice.
Yeah. Right. So, Taj Brooks, Tex TCU, another good running back. Day 3 is another guy to look out for. These are guys that they're maybe sticking around on the roster and eventually he'll be getting carries before you know it. We talk about Pacheco being a day 3 guy, how he goes into Kansas City and steals carries from people. These are guys that you could potentially do that. I saw a young man now. I don't know how high he is on the NFL's radar. I loved him when I saw him at one of the local All-Star games down here. Marquez Cooper, rather small. So I think that's the hard part for him is he's only 5'8", right? So that's one of the hardest part is the small guys, but he runs harder than it looks because he's got such a low center of gravity. He came down here to an All-Star game and he was running for yards after contact and getting into the end zone. So, and he's a very shifty individual in space, but he's got that low center of gravity that when he's running and he's got those shoulders upfield, the feet keep churning and he keeps moving in a pile. So he's one of those small guys that if they get him in camp and they find ways to utilize him, he may stick on the roster, like kind of how Deuce Vaughn did in Dallas.
A bowling ball type kind of guy, eh?
Yeah.
Guys, that kind of made me think in Jeff and Ad, like in Luke, like right away. It's so cool through the years. You describe someone, and then as a scout, you're picturing it reminds you of former players, right? Because you've seen that potential. It's like hearing a band. It's not the same band name, but they have a similar sound, and you're like, those guys got it. Like you just know it, and other people that haven't heard that band don't know it yet. So you got the inside view your backstage pass, right? So a guy like that to me sounds like I know birds, but I bleed football too, so I know names everywhere. So, but yeah, I always go back to the birds when I have a quick example. Brian Westbrook, smaller school, short guy. He wasn't shattering any records for speed or agilities on the cones or the 40s. So it was like Jerry Rice was slow. They said he might be undrafted. Jerry Rice, number 1 of all time. So don't fall in love with the fort. Don't fall in love with the stopwatch or the workout warriors. You got to be able to do it on game day. So like Brian Westbrook was late second rounder for the Eagles, and he was like a top 3 Eagle for 10 years. And I think he was 5'7". So what do you think? Adam made a good point too. Like a couple of shows in the past, like a Blake Corum. Do you think a 5'8" these days, guys? I mean, that's big enough. Just get the first down because it's a passing league, right?
We've seen it before, right? We've seen it with Sproles. Sproles was 5'6". Mark Higgs back in the early 90s with Miami. Mark Higgs was 5'8". Emmitt Smith was only 5'9", although they listed him at 5'10". He was 5'9". Same with Barry. Barry was 5'9", right? Thurman Thomas was 5'9". We can go down and running backs. You traditionally had some small ones.
You're right.
You had some big ones here and there, but for the most part, it's nice when they get a couple of 6-footers in there. But for the most part, the better ones that have been shifty are usually the guys with the lower center of gravity. So Dave Meggett was what, 5'7", 5'8"? Yeah, I'm going back in the crates on that one. That's a little over. I say Dave Meggett.
Well, there was we were talking about something that came to mind earlier. And when you're talking about RPOs and translating that to the pro game, and I think the biggest problem for translating the RPOs to the pro game, those athletes in high school and college, guys like, I think of it as athletes who weren't quarterbacks but played quarterback, as like Johnny Manziel comes to mind. And he's a freak athlete. He was crazy athletic. He could run around, he could throw, but he never learned the quarterback position, and I think it never really translated because he never wanted to. He didn't want to play. He wanted to play football. He didn't want to work at football, and I think you're showing that playbook, and it's 800 pages, and it's concepts, and it's work. It really is work at the end of the day.
Yes.
And I think the big difference between the RPOs, why the RPOs are so successful in college versus the pro game, is that you have that extra 2 yards. You can't, and that was my question. Is that, am I right? Am I on the right track, or am I totally off base? Because I think when it comes to college, you can be the offensive line can get 3 yards downfield.
You can hold the ball
really
longer, yes. So you can sell it together, yes. Yes, that is a big factor in it, right? The pro game, the RPO has to be a lot faster because you only have that 1 yard buffer. The college game, you have the 3 yard buffer. So you can hold the ball.
There
You
you
can
go.
do the
Yeah.
stuff that they love to do with Vandy likes to run that downhill RPO, right, where the guy's riding him straight downhill, and then he's able to pull it out and throw the ball. Right. That guy is so far into the ride that the linebackers are fully committing. At the NFL level, it's in 1 step, right? You get that, they get 1 yard buffer. So it's 1 step. If he sees the read, he's got to rip it right there. If not, he's got to give it, right? Or pull it. So it's a lot quicker read. It's not as long developing, right? And it really puts a lot more stress on linebackers and safeties at the college level that are playing close to the line of scrimmage than at the NFL level, where it's all within a step and it happens this fast. So that's the difference. And you're right, it does make a bigger difference because it's a harder read, right? It's happening faster. If they're not, if they're not moving the way you expect them to move, is that window really open or not, right? The college level, it opens up wide because you get to ride it and pull those guys into the play action.
One more thing that just popped into my mind, and it's something that I don't think we focus enough on when it comes to the draft, is the fact that when we're evaluating NFL talent, we're going into the draft, we're evaluating everybody who's played for 2 to 10 years. So the rookie class versus if we were to take the 22 best rookies from this year's draft, put them on a team against the 22 best players from last year's draft, they're gonna get smoked, because the talent level of everybody in the NFL is so much. It's not everybody could be equally talented, right? Talent's here, but experience is here. Everybody in the NFL has had at least for the incoming rookie class has had at least 1 more year of football plus, and I think that really affects our perception of, because we as fans, we get so caught up in numbers. Like, you've been playing football since you were 8 years old, but these guys who have been we look at a 5-year vet, and we look at we talk about left tackles earlier in the show. And you talk about a guy, why isn't this rookie left tackle as good as this guy that's been in the league for 5 years? Well, maybe it's because he's been in the league for 5 freaking years.
Yeah.
Do you think, I guess I'm trying to turn that into a question as more of a statement. Do you think that fans forget the fact that rookies haven't been in the league yet, and we don't give rookies enough time to develop?
Yeah, it's become a microwave popcorn success lead. If you're not done in a minute, we're already calling you a bust, right? Look at Anthony Richardson in Indianapolis. Anthony Richardson's record is 8-7, and people are talking about he's a bust. Okay, now he's the only reason they had a chance at the playoffs last year, but he's the bust, right? So it's become to the point, and it's not just that way with rookies, it's that way with coaches, it's that way with organizations. Listen, I can't tell you how frustrated I am with Dallas Cowboy fans that they're sitting there crying about their owner and this and that. They have had, I can count and still have fingers left in the past 10 seasons, how many losing seasons they have. Okay, and still have fingers left on the hand, but yet they're crying about their organization, talking about ineptitude. It is, that's become the way it is, and part of it is media driven. A lot of the big media companies, the easiest thing to do is throw a bunch of blowhards out there and talk about teams because they're not winning Super Bowls. Super Bowls are not guaranteed; you have to earn them. And it's not always the best team that wins them. It's the best team that's playing at that time usually wins.
Yeah.
So
yeah, man. Yeah.
It's one of those things where people have to really take a step back, stop absorbing the stuff that's all about clicks and baits and all the other stuff, and really look at it from an analytical standpoint and say, how good is this kid? How is he producing? Is he improving? Because that's the first part, is he has to improve, right? Unless he comes out and blows it up his rookie year, you just want to see the guy. He ran for 500 yards in the first year, and all of a sudden he goes for 900 the second year. That's an improvement. That's what we want. We want to see him continue to contribute. Now let's get that 1,200-yard season year 3, and now we can start talking about extending you off your rookie contract, right? That's what you want to see is growth. He caught 30 passes his first year. Second year, he caught 70. That's the leap we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
He threw 12 interceptions his first year. He threw 18 the second. Whoa, let's take a step back and see what's going wrong here. All right. That's what you really want it to be about. You don't want it to be about, are we winning the Super Bowl? Are we winning divisions? Are we better than this team? Well, quarterbacks don't win it all by themselves. Patrick Mahomes has proven that. Okay. Josh Allen has proven that. Lamar Jackson has proven that. Defensive linemen, as good as they can be, they can't cover people. They can't stop the run for you. They can only do their 1/11th. All right. So I think people really have to take a look at the team and say, are we really as good as we really believe? Just because we won 10 games doesn't mean that we're a Super Bowl contender. We're just probably a playoff team. And let's face it, being a playoff team is not a bad thing in the NFL. You know, a lot of times the fans will say, oh, this guy sucks. Listen, he may suck at that level. I played against a cup of coffee guys who've been in that level, and they're damn good ball players. All right. I was an all-star at the level I was, and they made me work every time I played against them. So they're damn good ball players, even when they don't last there, but they're really, really good when they stick around for long periods of time. So I think that's the one part is, yes, as a fan, we'll say, oh, this guy sucks. Listen, you could put Vinny Testaverde on any semi-pro team at his age today, and he would still smoke a lot of people because he was still that good of a quarterback.
Insane, man. Just the level of talent, man. Just that's why I know I touched upon it, and we were having so much fun jumping around. I'm just guilty as anyone. I like to go there and then pivot and change speeds and directions and all that jazz. But yeah, creative, a little ADD, throw Irish German. It's a big roller coaster. But good energy nonetheless. Jeff, I wanted to ask you too, man, just randomly. I love the fact I didn't even realize I didn't put two and together. I think I briefly was just listening to you guys one time a couple of years ago. In Connecticut, there's some really cool like fundraiser stuff with sports coming up that I know through a friend, and it's in the Danbury area. I wanted to talk to you. Maybe we can like talk about it online. Maybe you come back on, or someone else comes back on. We kind of network off that.
Okay.
But I mean, either way, from my vantage point, man, like having you on is really it makes it just different, and hopefully, you might get hit with a lot of the give me the top 20 players, right? We like to kind of keep it more like family and kind of just vibe and just really appreciate guys like you and kind of slow it down and we just want to hear from you. Maybe sometimes it gets lost in the shuffle, the other people you talk to.
Well, like I said, I'm available. I try to make myself available for Brad as much as I can.
That's great, man.
I'm not in Connecticut anymore. Actually, when I was coaching in Connecticut, I was still living in New York. I'm born and raised in New York. But I'm in Tampa. I've been in Tampa since 2018. This is why I'm here in short sleeves, or people still walking around with long sleeves on. Because I'm in Tampa now. I get to be comfortable all year round. Well, except when it's bleeding hot. I can't stand extreme heat. Never could. So.
Oh wow, cool.
Alex. I don't mean to cut any. I just want to lay this out there, Jeff. At any time, if you need to go, you go ahead and jump off. Lou, at any time you need to go, you can go ahead and jump off. Actually, let's do this right now while we're here, Lou.
Yeah.
Because Brad's not going to be back for a little while. I'm not sure exactly when he's going to come back and shut down the show. So if you want to hang out for a little while, Jeff, we're more than welcome.
I'm getting late, so I got time to make up for it.
Okay.
Yeah, let me.
If you want to go, if you want to, Lou, if you want to hang out, you're more than welcome to hang out. If you want to get out of here, plug your show and get out of here. The floor is yours. If you want to stay, I'm not kicking you out. I'm not kicking anybody out. I'm just letting know Brad's gonna be back here in a little bit. He had to go pick up his girlfriend from a concert, so he'll be back here in a little bit. So we're just gonna kind of roll with the punches here. So if anybody wants to get out of here, now is your chance to get out of here. Otherwise, you're stuck until we're done.
Cool. So
I'll just
what's
look-
the
I
most
don't know,
important?
Yep.
What's the Lou? What do you have to do, bud? You're gonna talk about your show?
Yeah, I do because I have to take care of
Okay.
something right tomorrow, so I'll just leave it now. Okay, this is for you too, Jeff. The Enhanced Sports Show will, of course, go on as normal Saturday, 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. The number is 512-543-4662. I'll repeat that again, 512-543-4662. We're gonna wrap up the men's and women's college basketball championships. We're gonna talk the Masters golf tournament, of course. We'll recap Opie's spectacular record-breaking goal. We'll also keep in check with the NHL and NBA playoffs as they're just around the corner. MLB, of course. We'll talk some NFL moves as we get closer to the draft. We'll also cover the other league that shall remain nameless for now. Yeah. And of course, UFC and WWE news as well. Also, your thoughts and comments, which are always welcome. The ridiculous sign of the week, I've got a few of those. Sports trivia, this week in sports history, and the feel good story of the week, which I'm working on. So, and of course, don't forget to like and share the Facebook page, and you can also check us out on YouTube. Go to YouTube and type in the Enhanced Sports Show, and you'll hear the show in its entirety. And like I said, the number again is 512-543-4662. That's 4 to 6 p.m. That's Eastern Standard Time. Jeff, where are you located again?
I'm just outside of Tampa.
Okay, so they don't have the time difference like in some parts of Florida, right?
No. I'm not on the Panhandle. No.
Oh, right, the Panhandle. That's where it is. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So then at the same time,
Tallahassee and all that stuff are well, not really Tallahassee, but just west of that. The Panama City and all that stuff are more.
Oh yeah, by Pepsi-Cola, Florida, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty funny, Jeff. Jeff, I was from CT, Jeff, from Connecticut, growing up once a prep and all that. So we were probably playing on the same, just different years. Obviously, you were the man, and I was just a role player, scout team hero, right? I had a couple sacks against the front night quarterback here and there. I was a little like Mike Mulmar. I didn't have the size. I played college lacrosse, so I had my fun. But I respect. I mean, football at that level, obviously, it's next level. But I just appreciate the grind from my level. So I really aspire to. I look up someone like you. You got that extra. Let's just say you're different than, there might be guys that are at a bigger network that, So, dude, you have a bright future because you have that extra advantage of you've been, like I say, in the trenches. You've walked the walk, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, like as far as just the draft and stuff, Adam, I know you probably had a couple questions, like one or two. I'm just gonna sit back and just kind of check everything out and just kind of relax.
Give me 1 second.
Thanks again, man. Jeff, I'm just gonna kind of fade. I got to do a couple things, but such a great show, man, and I'd love to, on IG on Facebook, I'd love to, be in touch down the road with the show and everything.
By all means, like I said, Brad has all my info, guys.
Share the love,
if you need to reach me, just ask Brad for it.
We'll promote. We're all about good vibes, and we like good people, and dude, we'll do nothing but promote and help each other.
Right.
Okay.
So. I know Lewis always gives me his number, but I never get a chance to write it down. So, like I said, Lewis, get with Brad. Brad has all my info, and definitely reach out.
Yeah, Brad has the number. Are you on Facebook though?
I'm on Facebook, but my Facebook is very limited. I got so much family stuff on there. I don't really use it for much else.
Okay, well, I'll just say the number again one more time: 512-543-4662 between 4 and 6 p.m. on Saturday. All right.
All right. If you want to get out of here, Lou, it's in the top right corner. Just click leave, and it should give you the option to leave if you want to go ahead and head on out, and we'll hang out for a little while longer until everybody else decides that they've had enough of my insanity.
Yeah, I'm just gonna close it down.
Okay. We'll talk to you later, Lou. Okay. Have a good one. See you next week, buddy.
Yes. Whoops.
So,
Wrong button.
so Jeff,
Mhm.
we usually bring you on to talk football, but you know, I'm a sports guy. I like sports. So, you know, obviously your main passion is football. You're a football scout. But what else about what are there other sports that you enjoy watching or participate? Like,
Great question,
we,
man.
if we were like to go out there and we were gonna like play some pickup ball, are we playing basketball? Are we playing baseball? Or are we, you know, we were throwing the pigskin around the yard? What are your other passions and hobbies outside of being a scout?
Well, I still coach high school. I help out one of the local high schools here in Florida. But I can't play anymore. I would love to go out there and play some basketball. I played in tournaments. I played in pickup games, but my knees are bad. So my knees are now have retired me from participating in too many sports now. When it comes to throwing the football around, I'm limited to doing that because I have calcium deposits in my shoulder. So I can only throw it so much before I'm in pain. Yeah, so this is what happens when you're a broken down ball player, right? So this stuff comes, the checks come back and they come due at some point in life, right? So they're coming back due for me physically. But I'm a guy that listen, my passion is sports, and I'm a huge fan of the Yankees. I still am. I've been a Yankee fan all my life. I'm an NFL fan when I'm not scouting. I do watch, you know, the games and have a certain team I root for. I like to keep it close to the vest because everybody says once they find out the team, they start going, ah. But
hey, this is a safe space. We ain't gonna judge. Well, we might
social media, man. So Jeff's got to keep that close to the vest, man, because again, that'd be like a reporter being biased.
I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but I got Michigan on my arm, so I wear my.
Well, when it comes to college football, I've always been a Notre Dame fan.
Okay.
But when it came to playing college football, and unfortunately I left early, but you look in the background there, you'll see the G. That's where I went first, was Grambling. And I wanted to play for Eddie Robinson when I left high school. That's why I went to Grambling. When I finish my degree, it'll say FIU. It won't say Grambling, but because I went back online to finish what I didn't finish at Grambling. You know, I've been a huge Yankee fan. I used to be a very big Knick fan for many, many years. I didn't like the way they dispatched Patrick Ewing, so I kind of, you know, shoved them out the door at that point. But I am still a very big Georgetown Hoya fan. So, I still follow college basketball, although I didn't get a chance to do it much this year, which is too busy. I watched some Georgetown games and I watched the tournament from afar, but I didn't really get a chance to get into the tournament like I normally do this year.
Did you watch the championship game? Did you get a chance to watch the championship game?
I did not. I was nose deep in scouting reports and putting stuff on the board. So and I still have classes going on, so I had some stuff to do for class.
Okay. Was that a class you were taking or a class? Sorry, Alex, I don't mean to cut you off, but we got three people trying to talk at the same time. Was that a class you're teaching or a class you're taking, if you don't mind my asking?
Yes. No, I didn't finish at Grambling. Like I said, I left early. So for many years, I was playing and working, and I didn't go back until 2019. I finally went back to fully finish. Like I went back once, but try and go back when you're working and taking care of a family and doing all that stuff and coaching football. It's kind of hard to go in person. So when I finally got a chance to go online in 2019, I went back down here online at Tallahassee Community, got my associate in sports management, transferred over to FIU, where I'm finishing up my bachelor's in sports management. So it's one of the things that stopped me in many times when I'm trying to get certain jobs. It's like, well, you know, we want a bachelor's, you know, so now I'll have the bachelor's and the experience, and there's nothing else to say. Right? My work is my work. The degree is the degree. Let's talk about opportunities. So that's my thing right now.
Let's open up that page window, brother.
Great question. Sorry to step on those toes, man. I was eager. You know, we've been talking more and more. Adam and I met through the love of sports and stuff, and we love music. It's great to you're teaching us, reminding us. You know, everyone has hobbies. These guys are not just eat, sleep. Everyone's human. a lot of music fans. Maybe some of them like rock fans or metal, you know, and you might have Von Miller blasting country. It brings a lot of people together. It really does. It sounds sappy, but darn right, it's true. And the world needs more of it. Quite frankly, what Adam and I have been talking about. And again, we're not, you know, rah, 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 you know, if the Eagles lose, I'm not going to go, oh, that's great, you know, but when we can, we like to keep it positive. That said, you know, I like it, you know, expressions. Everyone goes through trials and tribulations. Like even Jordan getting cut from his varsity team. You're not good enough to play varsity basketball. What did Michael Jordan become? So life's full of adversity. Life's full of obstacles and challenges. If you could be so kind, man, make it real and bring the passion for anyone listening out there. Maybe it was an injury, or maybe you got cut, or a coach wouldn't play you at the position, and he made you play a position, and you had to convince. Tell us about a real struggle. Maybe you were close to quitting one night by yourself, late at night, thinking about it. What was a big challenge that you faced, you know, on the way to achieving all that you've already done?
For me, I would say the biggest one happened early, right? I didn't play organized football until my freshman year of high school. My parents, my father was a court officer, my mother was a nurse. So all of the money they made went into taking care of their 5 children, paying for the house, paying for the private school, because my mother did not want us going to public school, so we all went to Catholic school. So you didn't have money for extracurricular activities. You were going straight home after school. So I didn't put on a pair of football pads until my freshman year of high school. So while I went to Mount St. Michael Academy, my freshman year, I'm out there with guys that have been playing since Pop Warner. So I didn't start my freshman year. I wound up starting as a corner my sophomore year. My junior year, I didn't start when we won the championship. But my senior year, I missed the first couple of weeks of training camp. My mother sends me away. So I come back. My starting job that I would have had come back to as a senior is now filled. So now I'm bouncing around the secondary. I wound up starting the first game at free safety for the first time in my life. Had a very mediocre to bad game because by the time we got to the second quarter, I moved back to corner because the starting corner in my position got hurt. So the next week we lose that first game, trying to get even out our record the next week. We go out to Queens to play St. Francis Prep.
Oh, wow.
And during the pregame, I didn't have the greatest week of practice. I'm trying to acclimate to being a corner again. I've just been practicing as safety for the past several weeks. And it's like, okay. And made mistakes. So we get the pregame. I'm sitting on the bench trying to get focused. And one of the guys I've been riding the bus with every day, we played together since freshman year, Dave Johnson, comes to me and he sits next to me and he lets me know, I believe in you. Because, you're not the weakest link here. We believe in you. You're going to get it done today. And I look at him, started feeling the confidence again. First series, I pick off the quarterback. Come back another series later, pick him off again. So I leave that game with 2 interceptions. I wound up leading the league with 4 interceptions my senior year. To me, that was one of the most motivational things I've ever had happen to me on the football field, because it was my teammate, not a coach, not an administrator, my teammate coming to me and saying, believe in you, you're going to get this done. We need you. Most of the time, when you're down, this guy's always going to kick you when you're down. Oh man, listen, let's move on. He ain't getting it done. Yeah. No, we need you. It's the first time that ever happened to me on a football field. We need you. Let's go. And ever since then, it drove me to never ever let my teammates down. I broke my neck doing what I got to do. I played hurt. I've been out there on one ankle, one knee, didn't matter. I was out there. If I could play, if I could suit up, I was out there. And I gave it everything all the way till when I retired at 29. And when I coached, it was the same way. And that's what I always preached to my guys. Listen, let's go out there and do what we got to do. right? And for each other, not just for what we want to accomplish, for each other. Don't let each other down. The hardest part I have with coaching sometimes is the guys beat up on each other harder than they beat up on the opponent. And it's like, y'all are the guys that got to do this together. This is the only team sport where you got to be a team to get rewarded. There's no one dude going to save you every time. You know, you can have one great player and lose every game. You know, and so this is the one time where you need every one of the dudes on that field. Everybody has to do their 111. And you want to see those guys pick each other up. You want to see them rally around each other. And that's been something when I was coaching, I stressed on my teams, something I look for when I'm scouting, when I see guys on the road and things aren't going well, if they're turning on each other or if they're picking each other up.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Go for it. That's so cool.
So what I'm hearing is that it meant more to you that it was a fellow baller that came over to the sideline and sat down the bench. You're trying to get yourself psyched up. And for it's not a big game, it's just a regular season game. Your buddy, this guy you've known your whole life, he comes over and says, "We need you. You're our guy. If you're not with us, then we're gonna lose." That meant more to you than a coach or a teacher coming over and saying, "Jeff, this is important for us. We need you," because it was a play. Did you consider him a friend or just a teammate? Let me ask you that. Did you consider him a friend or a teammate? Or both? I'll let you expand and take that question however you want it, wherever you want to go with it.
Say more teammate than friend, because I've always kept a tight-knit group of friends. It was the guys that I grew up with. Dave was actually from my neighborhood. I met him in high school before I even realized he was in my neighborhood. It just so happened like my sophomore year of high school, we're standing around the block, and he and his brother turned the corner and realized that we were connected because his brother and one of the guys that I grew up with were friends. They were close friends. So it was like, wow, I didn't realize that when he was such and such his little brother.
So it meant more because he was a teammate as opposed to being a friend or a teacher or an administrator.
I can tell you stories about teammates that tell you suck. You know,
yeah.
Shit, high school, there's always a guy in high school that on the team with you. Well, he's a scrub, man. And so, you know, it's different when your teammate is the guy that lifts you up. You expect the coaches to do that. Coach, let's go. We need you. Let's go. Step up. But when your teammate comes to you and says, "I believe in you. You're going to get it done today." Right? Because we believe in you. We know how good you are. You're going to get this done. It's a totally different thing. It's a totally different feeling. And it's one of those things that, like I said, it reinforced me every time I played after that. You know, no matter what I've done, it's always, I've looked at, says, I'm not going to let these dudes down. And I get angry when I see my guys letting each other down. You know,
right.
You know, I even when I played in basketball tournaments, and you get the guys that come out there and it's a tournament. So they start doing stupid stuff. And it's like, dude, no. We're here to play. We're going to play. We're going to ball out together, man. We lose to lose. We're going to ball out together. Not doing silly stuff, man. Take that on the side, man. It's pickup games.
Yeah.
We're in a tournament. We're here to ball. Let's ball.
And that's for any level of playing, like any sport, man. You see that it really is. And Adam's a huge history buff. He would have been a heck of an athlete where he was living. Adam, if you don't mind me just basically allowing you to shine a little bit, Adam could have been a really good athlete. He was just in an area where
I will not stop you.
Where maybe he was where resources weren't available. So he grew up, basically itching to play, and then was very interested in military history. So like he has so much passion and knowledge, and he's one of those guys who like, you know what I mean. You'll see guys in the press box that are like, what's this guy? Like Adam's got that flavor, that person. He breathes the sport. So to me, he's totally legit. And either way, like it's just but like that it is Adam. It almost is like battle. It's not obvious. It's not as high stakes. Nothing is, but in a sense, it really is. It's like gladiators because it's like life or death. You listen to this guy. Listen to our buddy Jeff's injuries. That could happen on a Tuesday morning, 6 a.m. weightlifting in the dark. Those guys are working behind the scenes and then trusting each other. If Jeff misses a key block, the quarterback's knee gets blown out. So it's like, you know, there's so many. So you're like in the. It's not like trusting. It's not like trusting a coworker. It's like trusting. You're in like combat with almost. You're like in a battle together. Really, when you because you know danger wise and accountability. Because if one person like is incompetent, other people get injured. So not to take it there, but as far as
I know what you're saying.
As far as the way you feel, like I could. If a teammate says that to you, it could mean the world to you. It'll really motivate you.
Oh Lord,
that's so cool.
Gotta get back. There we go. Thank you. No, you can glaze me any day of the week and twice on Sunday.
Sure,
I will never stop you from that.
No, like to give you like.
But I guess I can relate in that terms of military, you know, because I attempted to serve our country many moons ago. I was medically disqualified. It's a whole another story that we can get into some other time. But you know, I and if we're relying on Jeff to block as a corner, if we want Jeff to stop a 265-pound defensive lineman, I think we're doing it wrong because he played corner. But
no, well, you played. No, I'm talking about these days. Didn't you play club when you were older? You played club ball in Connecticut, right?
No, I was coaching in Connecticut. I was
coaching in Connecticut.
Point. Yeah, I was.
Okay, well, I was just talking about
New York.
What the hell happened to my?
Yeah, I was just talking about it. Like again, a figure of speech. If anyone protecting a blindside, or if you're a corner and the safety comes over the top and you read it wrong and you collide midair when you should have picked it. Like there's so many dangerous parts. There's so many dangerous sequences, even in football practice and games. So it's like maybe 300 days a year. You're putting your bodies in danger together. That's a pretty long journey of like physical battles every day. So it's like you need to trust those guys and not to like the Lions. Adam's team is awesome. They're always efficient. They're always together in those huddles. They're probably maybe running a little bit more or watching more films at a barbecue instead of maybe having a little bit more fun than another team. The team is with a really good camaraderie and that loyalty. I mean, Adam, then they peak at the right time. That makes a wild card team in any sport as dangerous as the number one seed. So like that camaraderie, man, it doesn't show up on paper, or it's just you either have it and then those teams. I didn't think the Eagles had it, and then they just caught fire but they were always so passionate together. You could tell the championship teams they're worried about each other's health. They're like blocking. They're playing for each other, not just to score a touchdown or get a sack. They're playing to like protect each other and make it home too. And I think that's what makes football such an awesome sport overall.
I'll tell you a story that happened a year before that conversation, and it was one of the also things that I didn't want to let my teammates down, right? So we're practicing. I forget what team we were getting ready for, but they like to run sweep, and they love to crack down on our outside linebackers. And one of my outside linebackers, his name was Eric Tate, was there, and actually he was playing safety. Forgive me, he was playing strong safety. So we had him walked up because of their sweep, and we were scout defense, and we were starting defense, and he was on. We had one of our big tight ends coming down, who was bigger than Eric. Michael Wiltshire was about 6'4". 200-something pounds, but I didn't call the crack to let him know it was coming, and he depleted him. And for the rest of the practice, Eric stared a hole in me because he was pissed, right, that I didn't let him know, protect yourself. I was so busy seeing the play, diagnosing it, and trying to go make the play that I left him out to dry. So fast forward, I'm playing with the New York Bengals. This is, I think it had to have been my rookie year. If it wasn't my rookie year, it was my second year. But if you look, that's my last year Bengal jersey underneath my Hall of Fame plaque. Nice. So one of my outside linebackers there, his name was Jeff Canty. And he used to tell me, I don't want any other corner playing on my side because you're the only one that calls the crack out. And I attribute that to letting my teammate down in practice and getting him lit up, and said, I'll never miss that again. And when I got to that level,
Wow.
how I protected my teammates was I made sure, crack. So he knew there was somebody beating down on him, so he wasn't getting blasted every time. Because when the other guys were out there, he was getting slaughtered because they didn't call it. They were too busy trying to make the play and not protecting him.
And it was
Mike, check.
It's funny, like growing up, even at middle whatever age, kids don't really appreciate that the dangers they encounter. It can really be minimized or prevented by more responsible teammates, because you'll see guys not playing defense and then someone flies in for a layup and gets clipped and it's an ACL. The kids are on TikTok 10 minutes later. They don't even really worry about it. Oh, it just happens to anyone. But if you're playing like smart, under control, I call it even controlled chaos, like lacrosse, hockey, like more like coast to coast, like that's fast and furious. Want to kind of not get 20 penalties, right? So it's it's controlled. It's like you want to be aggressive, but in practice you don't want to wake up with an ACL. So it's a fine line.
Well, I really can you guys hear me? Mic check. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, my audio went crazy, so I had to disconnect audio and reconnect audio. So I just want to make sure you could hear me before I. Sure. So something that I was talking about earlier before you got on was a story. It's an automotive racing story. So I don't know if you're familiar with NASCAR at all. If you're not, it's not really.
A huge NASCAR fan.
Okay, so if you've never read Darrell Waltrip's book, Lifetime Going Around in Circles, I highly recommend it. It's a great book, hilarious, lots of great stories. He's talking about the first time he ever went to Darlington, which is they were just there last week, and so he was talking about he's a young guy. I want to say it was like early 70s. 73 is the number that sticks out in my mind. But he is like 18, 19 years old. He's a kid. He gets to Darlington, first time he's ever been to Darlington. And he went up to Cale Yarborough, and Cale had been at, he's a seasoned veteran, been in the league for 10 plus years. And he was like, "Hey, Cale, can you go down into turn one at full throttle, wide open?" And Cale said, "Sure." So he's like, okay. They get the car off the truck, get it loaded, get it ready to go, and fired up. And he takes off, comes off pit road, and he gets up to full song. And he goes down in turn one, just wide open, about kills himself. And I can't remember the story because it's been a long time since I can't remember all the details of the story. It's been a long time since I've actually read his book. But so I don't remember if he made a couple of laps or if he just came in right after that. He went up to Cale and he was like, "I thought you said I could go into that corner wide open." And Cale said, "You can. I'm not gonna, but you can." And I think to me I always relate to that, slow down to go faster. And I, some personal stuff that Alex had going on last weekend, and I had to slow him down because he was ready to freak out, and I think that equates to all sports and just life in general. Slow down to go faster. Like, I'm sorry I missed the last little section here because I was dealing with my audio issues, but I think when your teammate came up to you and said, "Hey, we believe in you. We got your back. We know you're going to execute." And it allowed you to slow down to go faster because they believe it. So you didn't have to try twice as hard. And then, every time you try harder, you fail more. So then you try harder and you fail even more spectacularly. And next thing you know, you're riding the pond.
Yeah, so true, man. Just being able to just get through tough times. It's very similar to playing sports, and so those are really friends. I don't know about what you think, Jeffrey. You played obviously at higher levels in football and been in bigger circles, but it's fun and meeting really talented high school players from all over the country. So you know what I mean. And your rosters were far bigger than anything I played. You know what I mean. So you're meeting tons of guys that are really like brothers for life, really. You identify guys, whether it's a wedding or if someone helped me out and everything's fine now. And, due to good teammates. So the work ethic and the camaraderie and that you strive for with all that hard work when no one's watching in football or any sport, not only does it really build your character, so if you run out of gas and on a busy interstate. You're not really that worried because you played in that big game where you were really worried. And this is like, I can handle this. I got through that injury like you did. You got through that terrible injury. Now you got a family and a bunch behind you, a bunch of accolades. So you're inheriting. You're taking on even more. Because once you get through those storms way back, now it's like the rest. Now you're just kind of walking through the storm from now on. So it just makes you so much tougher. And thanks to good teammates, it's all possible. What do you believe in that as far as just the toughness, just mental toughness? Do you think it really helped you? Like, obviously, dude, I didn't mean the corner thing. Injuries, you know what I mean? No, like, so, but, but time changes. What do you think overall, like how it's played for you, in the game of life?
Life always throws you curveballs. I like to look at is the way when Roddy Piper used to say, as soon as you think you got it all figured out, it changes the questions, right? There's always going to be a curveball. There's always going to be a challenge. There's always going to be adversity. How you handle it is what matters, right? It's what's going to get you through it. I can't count the amount of things we've gone through, from 18 when I graduated from Mount St. Michael to now, where here I am, over 30 years later. And I've had good things happen. I've had bad things happen. Like I said, I pointed out the plaque. Here's the Hall of Fame grade. I didn't think when I left Grambling at 19, a father for the first time, that Hall of Fame and my name would be in the same sentence. Okay, so it was just the fact that stories like, the story where Dave was talking to me on the bench, the story I just told you about Jeff Canty, where he's like, you're the guy that's got to be on my side. Awesome. When I get guys that look at me and say, you are that valuable to me, and I want you to know that, it means a lot. When I was inducted into the Hall of Fame and I was giving my speech, I started it off by recognizing one of my former teammates that I played with in high school. When if you look on the wall, there's plaques there. The middle one on the top is my championship plaque from high school. And the team photo sitting right next to me is my former teammate, George Rivera. When I went to I was in the park with my daughter, and I saw the Bengals practicing, the New York Bengals practicing. The guy that got me to come try out for the New York Bengals was George Rivera, my former high school teammate. I just happened to bump into him when he was out there practicing, and he saw me with my daughter and said, "You're not at college anymore? Well, come play for us. Come try out." And it's what got me to come out there. And we played together for 2 years, and he died about a year and a half later.
Oh, so, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So that adversity.
Cherish your friends.
The guy that got me out there is no longer here to see all the stuff that I accomplished. So, my best friend that I grew up with, we played together for several years. I coached him at one point. The first player I ever coached was him, because he went to a high school. He was actually 2 years older than me. He went to a high school that didn't have a football team. So he wanted to try out for a club team somewhere else, but he didn't know how to play. So I would sneak my equipment home from Mount St. Michael. We go to a park, and I'd run drills with him to teach him how to play the game.
There you go.
Not only did he play at that club team, he went on to Johnson C. Smith University in North Carolina.
You're coaching, you're paying it forward.
Walked on.
Pay it forward.
And made the team in North Carolina at Johnson C. Smith University.
That's what it's all about. Yep.
So
you pay the game back. You owe the game that. You owe the future players that. You give it when you can no longer play. I was just making a joke. I love pizza. It's been a long time, but like in any way, you have more reach with more accolades. But we can all Adam's got a great personality. He's not networking. He's got all these brilliant ideas. We're both kind of new to the game on our side, what we do, Jeff. So it's all exciting. And the more camaraderie and the more positivity, the better. Adam, I know you have another great question, Ad. Before I forget, Jeff.
No, I actually have a comment.
On a side note, Adam, I just wanted to simply quietly extend an invite totally separately where we could allow Jeff, and Jeff, you don't even have to come into our totally separate podcast. Brad will know about it. And not even talk about the draft,
we don't
really,
even,
but just talk about.
Jesus
I'd like to.
Christ, you're
no, I'd
talking
like
about shit that hasn't even been officialized yet.
Oh yeah, no. I'm talking about down the road. We might be working with a few other people. So maybe if you want to do something with us down the road,
yeah. No,
that was absolutely not an announcement. So continue, Adam.
No, I'm just giving you a hard time. It's something we're definitely working. We're definitely working on another side project in the background.
Show business, all the
we'd love to have you on. It's a totally different kind of scenario, but I just wanted to say I've been looking at you this whole like hour and a half that you've been on. Again, I appreciate you hanging out for as long as you have, and Brad, Brad acknowledged that he messed up the link, so sorry for that. I'll apologize again for Brad in absentia, but and just let me know whenever you're ready to hop off here for the night, because I'm apparently in charge now, so I guess I'm running the show. But I've been looking at you this whole time, and I just gotta say, you look like Warren Sapp. Have you ever heard that before?
Oh yeah.
Has anybody ever said that? You look like Warren Sapp.
I don't like him.
Oh, nice. I like that.
That's
it's got to be the 300
Jeff,
pounds.
I apologize, man. I was just, I'm learning the ropes too. I'm learning the ropes
you're a
too,
bald
so I was
black
just excited about the other idea.
Yeah, no, you're good, Alex. I guess it's because you're a bald black guy, and all bald black guys look alike. I don't know.
I hope I speak better than Warren.
No, man, you're sharp as a knife, man.
I mean, that bar is.
We want you in the kitchen door, man. Part of the team.
Absolutely, I can't stress this enough. I can speak. I think I can speak for Brad when I say this from the bottom of my heart. I absolutely adore having you on. I wish we could have you on every week. I understand you're a busy man, so we appreciate the time to take out of your massive schedule to come on and goof around with three knuckleheads and Brad. I don't know if you. Obviously you weren't listening to the earlier show, but Brad actually introduced me to podcasting. I wouldn't have podcasted without Brad. Brad really brought me in and gave me my first taste of this whole experience, and I've known Brad for 6 years now, and I would consider him one of my best internet friends, if he'll indulge me in that, because I've only met him in person once. We live like 1,200 miles apart, but hanging out with him every week, for 5-6 years now, I adore Brad. It may be the alcohol talking, but I've indulged in a couple of libations this evening, so you'll forgive me if I'm getting a little sentimental.
Brad's a good dude, man. I've gotten to know Brad now. I can't count how many years it's been now since I've been at USF games, and
I think that's right. He told me you guys met at USF, right?
Yeah, we've both been in the press box. I'm there to scout, he's there to write, so we got to know each other pretty well. That's when I started coming on his shows. He invited me on here, but yeah, it's a good dude, man. I don't know a dude that doesn't work hard.
He puts up with my bullshit, so I mean,
yeah, I do.
And somebody turn around, he's got something going on. He shares it. We talk. We talk more on the chat than we do on the phone, but nevertheless, he shares the stuff that he does at the high school. I do the same thing. I share the stuff that I do at the high school. We talk about all the other stuff. When I'm there at the game, we spend a good amount of time talking about the game, talking about the program. I think they have a chance of really having sustained success under this administration. They're starting to do things the right way. They're starting to do things that matter, and so I give them credit for sticking it out. It's been crazy the last couple of years at USF with all the changes. So, certain games were crowded. The last year was like, I could stretch out over here.
No,
even when the big national teams came, it was like, okay, there's room.
Well,
Yeah.
I will say, and Brad won't argue with me on this, but I remember in 2020, before COVID and the whole end of the world apocalypse that we went through for like a year and a half, Brad was ready to quit. And Brad won't argue with you. Won't argue with me on this. I spent many a long night on Facebook Messenger convincing Brad to stick it out because I enjoyed this. I absolutely enjoyed his company. I enjoyed coming on here once a week just to shoot the shit and talk sports and get away from real life for a couple hours. And convincing Brad to stay on and to keep writing. My thing was is like, if you're not, my thing was, and this goes to everything you're doing in life. It doesn't matter whether it's sports or your job. If you're not having fun, find something else to do. It's like, if you're still having fun, if you still feel the passion and the heat every week, keep doing it. And screw the haters. We're not supposed to use the F word on Brad's show, so I'll refrain. But screw the haters. So, and so keeping Brad motivated was one of my big focuses. And meeting him, and we've had so many great guests. I had a personal hero of mine. I reached out to Jim Brandstatter is the voice of Michigan football for me. I know he wouldn't consider himself the voice of Michigan football. That would be Frank. I can't remember his last name, but he was the guy that came up with Beamer or Brandstatter. Sorry, came up with Brandstatter. He was the color guy for Brandstatter was Frank Beck. I think it's Beckman. And I'm sure I'll get roasted in the comments later. But Jim Brandstatter was the voice of Michigan football for me, and I got the chance through Brad because I was doing this because of Brad because Brad stuck it out. I give all the credit in the world to Brad for sticking it out and not giving up on this show and not giving up on me. I got to interview Jim Brandstatter, and it's like a highlight of my life. It's a small thing in the big sea of people he's interviewed and people he's been interviewed by. It's small potatoes, but I am that small potato, and so I'm gonna hang my small potato hat on that. And so,
man.
Yeah, not to glaze Brad while he's not here and able to defend himself.
Yeah.
But
I'm dabbling. That's great, man. But yeah, Jeff, just to smooth it out so I can just kind of better clarify. I was a little bit confused and I didn't mean to jump any gun. It's more just like we're working on some ideas where I'll just keep it very simple and you'll always be Brad's first and foremost, Brad's buddy. And this is the main source. A little personal thing, like maybe I'll just try or Adam with a couple of us try out where it'll be more, when you and I and maybe us three on something side, it'll be more to just literally separately, maybe like a couple weeks down the road, even a month down, whenever it's good for you, Jeff. We'll jump on even for however long you want to do it, man. The more, trust us, we want you as long as you want, but whatever you're comfortable, where it's more just not even so much, maybe a quick 2 minutes about the draft or whatever you're comfortable, but the real meat and potatoes of what we really want you to talk and educate our viewers on.
Kind of like we've been doing for the last half hour.
Well, exactly. More of like the Grambling Hall of Fame. Talk about a proud American institution for an incredible group of, I don't have to describe it. You're such a standout athlete compared to 22 other guys that played cornerback at your level in that draft. When you were in college, you're a Hall of Fame there. And then the injury stuff, and the way you delivered it, I was just like, you know what? I don't want to save it. I want to make sure he's cool with this. I'm going to ask him. So I want to be able to share your thoughts with you and Adam, maybe together down the road. That's all I was saying. But you're always Brad's show is always the key. I'm never trying to do side stuff. You know that.
Yeah. So I just want to clarify. I'm not in Grambling's Hall of Fame. I'm in the minor league football Hall of Fame.
The minor league, sure. Yeah. That's right.
Okay, that makes sense.
I was thinking of Grambling. Okay, sorry. I was thinking about the name Robinson.
Grambling, like he's not in the Hall of Fame. I don't know who that guy.
Now, yeah. So thank God.
Absolutely.
So thank God that was like a rough draft tonight. Then we can do the real thing. That was a kind of a rehearsal just now. So, but yeah. We really want you on. We'll all kind of know how we're coming into it. And we'll be able to kind of by that time we
I
might
have-
by that time we'll know how to kind of, I'll make sure a couple people know
I
about
have-
it. So we'll we'll promote
Alex,
it. Yep.
so I have some ideas that I want to run by you off air, so that it's something we've been working on the side, another like an hour-long podcast that
Okay, cool.
we want to do something on more of the positive side. Obviously, this is a sports only show in general. Obviously, we've kind of gone
Yeah.
off the rails.
Like your
I've
journey.
been drinking and I've been left in charge. I
Like
shouldn't be
your jour-
allowed
like
to be
your-
in
like
charge.
your- Like your journey, Jeff.
But
Really your journey.
but it's more we're working on the side. This is something we haven't even. There's things that I need to nail down on being able to record it and upload it. So, but once I get that, I have some ideas that I need to work with Alex on. We'd love to have you be our first guest.
Be awesome. Be awesome.
Honestly,
Appreciate
I cannot thank you enough.
This is perfect, Jeff.
You've given us more time than anyone would be expected to give,
And-
especially with my audio issues and my
Yeah, and I'll say this. I'll
indulgence
say
in the
this too,
adult
man.
beverages tonight.
I'll say this too, man. You know what? If it's cool with you, Adam, because me and Adam have we just randomly started vibing a lot more, and it was my father was really sick in your neck of the woods, Jeff, outside Tampa, by the way. Life is
Okay.
mysterious, like, right? So now
Yeah.
I'm learning. I came back with a new attitude too, like to not really be. I hadn't done podcasts much, but thanks to these guys. So I used to love sports, and I just dropped everything. So I'm maybe trying to get back into writing and podcasting more since visiting my dad. I'm meeting you. You live near my dad. It's all kind of like just timing is everything. So yeah, like
Absolutely.
Adam nailed it, man. Just where we can really give you an event. And dude, maybe Adam, if it's appropriate, we'll talk off air. But like, why not make him?
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe our like debut, like it'll be kind of just tales. Like tell us your
Totally.
story. Like tell us your challenges.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
We're just gonna leave it to you to talk.
All right.
Well,
No
if
problem
you
with
could
that.
shut up, but
Yeah.
no, the idea that we've been kicking around here, and I'm trying to figure out a way to record, and I think I have an idea, but my biggest struggle. I mean, you don't have to turn off the camera. I'm just talking shit. Is that
No, man.
Is,
Sorry, I gotta grab my dog. I'm gonna bring him up.
You're good. You're good. I'm
And
just
you're- and you're-
fucking your.
And Adam, you're damn right. I've talked too much. That's why I mute a lot. I get all pumped up. That's the thing I'm working on, Jeff. Imagine me running around with a 6-foot lacrosse stick. It was tough, man. I was a backup defensive end. I was a backup DN with a 6-foot weapon. With
There's no huddle in lacrosse. So you need that
hyperactivity, man. I was running the hit, man. I was running the hit. I got big. The time I got big, I couldn't play college ball, but so I stick with lacrosse. But go for it, Adam.
No, I want to hear what Jeff was saying. I couldn't
Yeah,
hear him over here babbling.
Thanks,
No, I
Adam.
was saying you need that kind
Always
of
gotta
energy
remind
for
me.
lacrosse since there's no huddle. So yeah, you need that kind of nonstop energy.
No,
Yeah, my dog's
but
running around
yeah,
too.
the kind of the idea of just the idea is just being positive. We've got a tentative title. I've got some things that I want to work on. It'll probably be over on another platform because everything is so expensive and I just can't afford to pay
We're
for
gonna work it
anything.
out.
So,
We'll work it out for sure.
but I'll definitely get with you. What's the I probably Facebook would be the easiest way for me to get a hold of you. Unless are you on LinkedIn or are you on?
I'm
So I'm
on
not on
LinkedIn.
Twitter.
I'm on X.
Okay.
I'll do LinkedIn.
okay.
I got LinkedIn too.
Yeah. So, but like I said, Brad has my card. So if you give
Okay,
it hold
okay,
of
I'll
Brad,
get with-
he'll give
yeah,
you my
yeah.
card. And
Awesome.
I'm just not trying to steal. I'm not trying to steal Brad's guests away from him.
Yeah.
Brad gave me
That's
my
why I cleared
opportunity.
Yeah. It's all good. That's why I wanted to just clear the air. I'm not trying to like poach. They call it like poaching talent. I'm not coming in looking for free agents. This is our home base, but we got something cool.
Yeah.
Like we're a band, but we got a little side project on the side.
Yeah, I don't want to. I have no intentions of giving this up.
Never.
my
We're not gonna worry about it. So I mean, Jeff, you might be exhausted from me yapping and from Adam's humor too. You want to call it a night? Or are you cool? I'm
exhausted. I'm exhausted because I don't get much sleep this time of year.
So we'll have
All right, brother. Well, if you want to hop on out of here, me and Alice will finish up the last 5 minutes. If you want to plug your shit and get on out of here.
Jeff, thanks, man.
Of course, YouTube, Team MBS Media on X. You could also look up MBS Media Live. Draft Central every Wednesday night, 9:15, all the way up until after the draft. We're live all 3 days of the draft, so we're gonna have live coverage of the
All
draft.
three?
We've been working on, all 3 days. So
Wow.
you get to see my face for 3 days covering every pick in the draft. As part of the Team Advanced Media, along with my co-host Bill Carroll, Greg Rector. It's funny talking about crossing paths. Bill Carroll and I have crossed paths so many times before we even met.
Wow.
He played at Norfolk State. I used to end up at a lot of Norfolk State games. My family's from Norfolk, Virginia. My sister graduated from Norfolk State as well. So there were times when he was playing at Norfolk State, I was in the stands. One of my friends that I coached with was also somebody, was a friend of his who they were in scouting together. They were doing shows together before we even did stuff together. So we've crossed so many paths. He used to spar with my cousin Pernell Whitaker. So so many times our lives are kind of touched before we even met each other. It's funny that we wind up working together years later. So but yes, 9:15. You can find me there. I'm not doing much else other than appearances right now because usually during football season, I'm running around with college stuff. We do the recap show, the last word on Saturday nights. So usually there's times I'm running from USF back home here to start getting ready to do the recap show and then to wake up and do the pregame show for NFL the next day. We'll see what happens this fall. I know there's some things in the works there for me. So it's going to be a lot of moving pieces the next few months, but it's all about the draft right now. So that's the main thing. Draft Central and the live coverage that we have going on.
That's great, man. Such exciting stuff, man. Adam, go for it, man. I'm gonna fade out, man, and I'm all looking for positivity in tough situations. Like this is gonna be a fun time down the road. So thanks again, Jeff. I'm gonna kind of fade out and let Adam do his thing.
You got it.
Well, I'm gonna listen.
I'm gonna listen. I'll listen.
I was gonna let Jeff go ahead and step on.